117 of the Balcast podcast. I'm your host, Peng, joined by my co-host, Anicor. And we got two special guests today from Europe. We got 23 EJB and TomaHawkUK. How you all guys doing?
Any of you, how are you doing?
Oh, wait,
I'm doing fine.
Yeah.
I'm doing fine. Can you hear me?
Yeah. I don't know if we lost audio on Tomahawk's side.
I think you're muted.
Yeah. You're muted now.
Wait, it was working great 5 seconds ago.
Yeah.
Well, while he gets that sorted out, let's see what we could do here. Yeah, I don't see him muted right now.
Just saying off the back of Barcelona, obviously feeling good. So
nice.
Yeah, happy to be here.
All right.
Okay, so just for some unintentional context, but Caleb was feeling bad for ragging on EU so much that he did an entire EU episode.
Yeah,
and it's nice
you can make up whatever you want to make up here.
It's nice to be the majority. I know you two got my back. Yeah, for whatever happens.
Of course.
Well, the facts speak for themselves. But before we get too far into intros, let's just settle the Stardust bets. For those that may not know, tuning in, myself and Anicor made a bet on who can make the most amount of Stardust, starting from the Paldea event. And we had two different timelines because we initially did like after the first 5 days, but then we're like, wait, we get another 5 days to Ultra unlock like four times dust. So we decided to extend it for 5 days. So you started at, all right, let's see. Okay. You started at 4.7 million.
Okay, 4.78 million. Because I'm taking this close to 4.
Yeah, that's fine. You can start at a higher number. That's fine. That's better.
This is the exact number that I started at. Okay, and you started at...
I thought I started at like 3.9.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's do the midpoint first, yeah? Because I want to see how it would have been.
Yeah, because I didn't play at all really until I got to Pittsburgh, which I know Tomahawk probably saw the bonuses from the regional recently. But just imagine that with 4 times the... Wait.
So was the Barcelona one still 100 on top?
Well, I don't actually know because I was playing.
He's battling though.
So I didn't really catch anything. And
it was 100 on top, but there wasn't 4 times dust.
Because obviously we know what happens when you've got an auto catcher on during a battle. So I didn't. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't want to risk that too when I was competing to have auto catcher on. All right, so I'll post how much I got in Pittsburgh, which so I end up at 6.58.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Well, that was just from
what the hell?
Wait, what? Is that not a lot or is too much? See, I don't know.
Wait. You went from like 3.9 to 6.58.
Yeah.
I give up.
Wait, what?
That is,
you said you're walking 15 kilometers a day. Were you walking doing? On in the ocean?
How you?
I wasn't moving. Well, I mean, the spawns are good, but I expected you were in Japan too. All right, how much you have?
But at the halfway point, I got 6 million.
What? Oh, this is a wrap. All right, what was the endpoint? What was the endpoint? You disclosed the endpoint first.
Oh my days!
Dude! Oh my gosh! You're gonna be taking every L. This
my endpoint was 7.4, bruv. I went to a flipping.
Your endpoint was 7.4.
I went to a nest in Peckham. I was like, there's no way I'm losing this. Yeah, I was catching bear fungus. What? Oh my days!
Wait, you end at 7.4?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That's still worse than the halfway point.
What? I don't understand. Are you catching on like a flip phone? All right, my endpoint. I got the screenshot and everything. 8.19.
And I can actually make that much from.
I didn't make that much. Yeah, because I was nervous. I came back and I just didn't play much. I was like too lazy. I went to Santa Monica, like you all probably seen screenshots and videos of people spoofing lured up everything. It wasn't even lured up. I was dropping the lures myself. I was like, people just gave up on playing. I don't know what was going on. It was last day. I have 11, 12 kilometer eggs that I didn't hatch in time. So if I added that on, I would have definitely. Oh man, this is easy.
I didn't even think about
my
eggs,
gosh.
Like that.
Well, I mean, that was the only time I hatched anything. Wow, what? I don't understand how you walk 15 kilometers a day and don't catch more. My total kilometers this past week was 21.
Yeah, for anyone who's actually done an event
so
with
much,
Anicor, when he grinds, he actually spends so much time talking that he's probably not.
Yeah, but I was on my own. I wasn't chatting to anyone.
What were you doing? Like,
are
you catching everything with like a Pokeball? Like, what? I don't understand. Like, wow.
You know what? Honestly, I don't know, man.
The bet sheet.
I've been playing this game for like a few years, and apparently I've been playing it wrong. So.
Yeah, no wonder why you only have like 100K catches.
Yeah.
You're walking the catch ratio must be like 1-to-1 by now. That's wild.
It's actually huge.
Yeah, so you have to use Trevenant next week, so I'll see you on my stream sometime. He has to use Trevenant for a full day of sets in Great League, which should tank his elo. It's not too bad.
Think it's too bad either. I don't think it's too bad either.
No one succeeded in Barcelona, right? So
yeah,
people always say it's not that bad, but no one ever like does anything meaningful with it.
Yeah, I mean there are far worse mons to use than Trev.
That's true.
There's still a lot of metagame around.
Maybe I should have made it a Phantom or something. Yeah, I was scared to lose it myself though. So
probably.
Again, this was the mind games, isn't it? Yeah, like your guard is down. Yeah. Watch.
My card's never gonna be up after this one. There's nothing to keep making it. Oh my gosh! The thing that Speedy used to have over me was the Stardust bets, but now I got both on lock.
You know what the worst part is? Yeah, I said I wasn't a grinder. Yeah, which is obviously the case. Yeah,
you weren't a liar.
I was grinding, bro. I thought I was grinding. I literally had that grind set.
How do you walk 15 kilometers? What was your total kilometers this past week? How much did you walk?
The past week, not as much. The past week was like 60, but it's because I didn't like
60. So 3 times the amount I walked. I don't understand.
Yeah, I know. And the week before was 120.
Yeah, I don't get it. The week before I didn't even hit 50. I mean, I was in Pittsburgh, so the sponsor.
Yeah, you should really try catch Pokemon while walking, Anicor.
Yeah. Have you been GBL? I've been GBLing most. I've been doing most of my sets though. So that helps.
I've been doing my sets as well.
I mean, that's not that much Stardust.
But still, I don't know, man.
I don't know what happened there, but okay. Yeah. Well, anyway, I'm feeling great already. But,
do you know what it is? It's that content creator bonus, isn't it? I haven't really unlocked that yet. So
yeah, maybe not. But let's dive deeper into introductions for those that may not know you two. We'll start with TomaHawk because we saw you recently. On stage quite a bit at Barcelona too, so that was a fun time. And we so for context for people too, we invited both of them on to be the podcast before any results, so we didn't know TomaHawk was going to do as great.
But I knew, and that's why. That's why you're here. I knew you'd do.
We'll get into that because me and EJB had some side combos too during the tournament. But yeah, TomaHawk. Tell us about yourself, where your username comes from, how long you've been playing Pokemon Go, etc.
Yeah, sure. So username is I play field hockey. In field hockey, there's a type of shot on your reverse stick which is called the TomaHawk. I used to do it a lot to the point that my teammates used to call me TomaHawk. When I had to pick a username for Pogo, very easy, done. Mm-hmm. I downloaded the game as many people did when it first came out. I then kind of took a long break after I caught 6 Pokemon, and then I waited up until then. I think I saw an announcement that there was Beldum Community Day, and I was like, "Oh, I like Shiny Beldum." So I re-downloaded the game, caught a Shiny Beldum, and then uninstalled the game. And then it was only when COVID came in that I really started again properly, and there was PvP by that point. And that for me was okay. Let's give this a go. But yeah, so I was qualified for Worlds last year from qualification through Warsaw Regionals, and the plan is Hawaii this year, and Barcelona's off to a good start.
Yeah. So for those that didn't tune in, TomaHawk placed 3rd in Barcelona too, the first regional of Europe, second regional of the whole year too, which is pretty dope. I know you got 2nd Warsaw last year. Did you compete in any other tournaments outside of Worlds last year?
Yeah, I did. I went to the Last Chance qualifier the year before that. That was my very first. Obviously, EJB did very well in that. Yeah. I can't remember what other regionals I did. I don't think I did very well. I think I've been trying to use off meta picks for a few tournaments, and they've not always gone brilliantly. But actually, as Anicor said, it was before this tournament that I probably felt most in form, as I have done before any event. And I think I went into this one a lot more confident in my approach and a lot more pleased with the meta. I've had many conversations with many people about my views on the meta, as EJB knows, and I think the meta that we've got right now for the next couple of months for me was a really healthy one and one that I've enjoyed playing.
Yeah, no, it was a really good one for sure. Have you always been a Pokemon fan, or are you just, because you mentioned you knew Beldum community coming in, so did you play like the main series game before this or anything?
Yeah, I remember I was going on a family holiday, and just before the holiday, my dad buys me this Game Boy, and I'm like, okay, sweet. And I have one of the first Fire Red, I think it was the game that I had. And all of my friends had already been playing for years, so I've been waiting for ages for this. And so then we fly out on this holiday, and we arrive at this hotel, and on the first day, he's like, right, we're going to go out, and we're going to go to this excursion. And I was like, Dad, I've got a gym battle I need to do. I was like, don't worry about it. You go without me, all right? I'll deal with Giovanni. And yeah, so since then, big fan of Pokemon. Obviously, amazing when Pokemon Go came out, and played the main series games and kind of dabbling with TCG as well now, just because every time we go to these events, we get given cards, so I may as well look into it.
Well, you got to do well to get the cards too, but you've been doing well, so that's why you're getting some of these cards, which is pretty awesome. You mentioned too that you started PvP around COVID, so I assume you probably didn't play any Sylph tournaments, at least when they first came out, right? That first year before GBO was around. But did you start playing any like grassroots formats or anything after GBO?
I remember lots of people had poses already that I was very jealous of. I think some of the early poses were really good ones. And I think I must have joined around season 4, season 5, around that time. And I think someone told me that once upon a time in PvP, you only had single charge moves and things like that. So that was all before I kind of got into the game. I think I joined Sylph maybe towards the end of season 2, but maybe for one cup. And so season 3 was my first actual Sylph season. Enjoyed that. Obviously, became teammates with Anicor, and we had a good run with Hidden Powers. And then more recently, I joined the Tea and Pizza guys. That happened just before Worlds. I thought it was a good opportunity for me to kind of spend time speaking with other battlers that were going to Yokohama and kind of sharing knowledge and theory crafting with them, and they were a huge support for me for Barcelona as well. So both that Hidden Powers and Team Pizza background was just a massive help.
Gotcha. Nice. Wait, I know Status Stan is on TM Pizza. Is PvP David also on it?
Yes, he is, yeah.
Okay. So a little funny story. I after I don't know if you're in if you're still on Hidden Power or not for the King of the Hill thing. But one of the teams we face in King of the Hill, Blue Marlins, the Brazilian team. I guess their captain just reached out to me after we faced them and he was like, "Hey, great games this week. By the way, do you want to like join this Brazilian league with us? Like, we're just recruiting some other players outside of our region." And I was just like, I don't know if my whole team's available, but sure, I'll do some. So it just recently started this past week, and it turned out he's like the only Brazilian captain, whatever, to recruit people from other regions, and he recruited me, Sadisan, and PP David, and just like it's just the three of us versus a bunch of different Brazilians. It's like 7 versus I think it's still 7 versus 7, but there's like 2 Ultra League, 2 Master League, or whatever, something like that. And it just felt, oh man, it felt like a little cheap and stuff because it was Sadisan, PP David, and then me. All three of us battled first, and we all 3-0'd. And I'm just like looking at these teams. I'm like, wait, these guys are just like they're just importing talent from other regions, just like 3-0 their opponents too. So we like
that sounds like a captain who has really good talent ID. So you can't criticize them, you know.
Yeah, it's wild too. It's all in Portuguese, so I'm like literally like Google translating like all like the time coordination and stuff. And I think they're doing the same thing too. But the captain speaks great English too, so he sometimes like translates back and forth. But
do you think this is how those footballers who get like sent out to the Middle East feel?
Definitely.
They're absolutely dominating the competition there, but can't speak a word of the language.
They just make more money though.
How much they paying you?
Nothing. I just do this for fun, I guess. I didn't even scrim for mine because my first battle was on Saturday, but I stayed up. Well, because Barcelona started at midnight my time, so I'm not going to go to sleep early to wake up at midnight, right? So I'm just going to stay up, and I literally watched all of day one. I went to sleep. I woke up 2 hours later to do my battle. I told my cool cast teammates hey, I might need some scrims. I just messaged them after. I was like, yeah, I didn't have time for scrims. I just ran the same team 3 times in a row, but they have no bans on anything, so it's open ultra league. So it's just stupid broken Pokemon the whole way through. But yeah, that's awesome to hear that you got. Well, I feel like that's a great story too, because for those that are getting into PvP, clearly TomaHawk's a great example of someone that got good at PvP in a fairly short amount of time, right? You've been playing GBL and PvP for what, maybe about 2 years, or maybe a little over 2 years, right? Because the earlier seasons were a little bit shorter. But you're good enough to. I mean, technically, when you qualify for Worlds, it's almost a year ago. So you qualify for World Championships on the official circuit in 2 years and under. So I feel like it's
I mean, to be fair, we've seen players who have managed to do it an incredible amount of time as well. I think obviously when Emmy Weedle qualified, he barely hit level 40. I think we also saw in Pittsburgh. I think it was Tihi Riza had only recently downloaded the game earlier this year, so there definitely is obviously a lot of opportunity now for new players to kind of get in, and I think a lot of the events we're seeing, especially this Dust and XP one we've had recently, not that Anicor's been playing it properly, but has given people an opportunity to get the resources to really compete.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Anicor has double the catches as Emmy Weedo, so he should have no excuses. But he should have.
Yeah, but I've also got 100 times the amount of Pokemon built. I think he just about built his 8th.
So that's even less of an excuse. What do you mean? You have
true.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, EJB too. Feel free to introduce yourself as well.
Of course.
I know you've been in the scene for quite a while too.
Yeah. So I'm 23 EJB. From Austria. So my background is I actually started the game also when it first dropped, 2016, and after a month or two, I stopped playing until the first lockdown in June 2020, I think, or June 2020, I think, was when I picked up the game again. And first I just did some remote raiding, figuring out that's a new feature, just spending the money I couldn't spend anywhere else during COVID. And then I was like, okay, there's some PvP feature as well. And I just tried it out. And I remember I was in a group chat on a Facebook Messenger group. And I sent in I think a 15-14 Gengar I was using in Great League. And someone was like, that's not even good to use. And then he explained me what PvP IVs are and sent me the link to PvPoke and some YouTube channels that I could look after. And there was FP6 YouTube channel back then. Mm-hmm. And so I got into PvP like that. So I didn't know what Discord was back then, or Twitch. Never heard of it before. So I started watching YouTube, catch some Twitch streams, then joined some Discord servers, and that's how I got into PvP. Mm-hmm. I had no clue what Show 6 was until season 2, end of season 2 Sylph, I think was when I first played my Sylph tournaments. And that was right around when factions dropped as well. So I was like, I haven't done Sylph before. But I want to do factions. I want to have a team, and that's when we built up Wasted Potential back then with some homies. And
you're on the original squad.
Yeah, I'm actually the founder of Wasted Potential.
Wait, so, what? You're the founder? Yeah. Wait, I thought Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
I had no experience in Sylph, so I needed someone to do the rule set stuff. So I needed Joshi, who was experienced in what the rule sign stuff. So he was I was like, yeah, you need to be the captain, but I'm backing you up if I can. And that's how we did it. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
You all made it to Worlds too for factions, right? This year.
Yes. Yeah. Both times we made it to Worlds. Yeah. Nice. The first year we lost against, I think it was single elimination back then. We lost to Chicago Stars in round 1 and actually dropped out immediately.
Yeah. Well, yes, they did really well too. So
yeah.
That's
really
expected. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was Sylph. That was my Sylph experience. Reached Legend in season 3 of Sylph then. So I actually did really well in my first entire season. Nice. And then the first Play Pokemon tournaments came around, and I just wanted to meet up all my friends I made online. And the first tournament was EYC in.
I remember meeting you there.
In Frankfurt, yeah.
So, I was super jet lagged, but it was
it was fun there. I think it was crazy for everyone. Everyone was quite overwhelmed because it was like the first big tournament, right? The first broadcast of a tournament we had as well. So it was the big stage. Everyone tried to play, and I did pretty well. I lost losers finals in my group there, so I couldn't make top cut. But then later this season, I swept my LCQ group, the wave 1, I think, and made it to Worlds. So I was quite happy making it back then. This year I won Bochum, qualified again for Worlds, and that's who I am. Yeah.
Nice. I was gonna say too, the LCQ from last year's Worlds, that was a long, like, we left the building because there was Wi-Fi and stuff, and I think you all battled till like it was like dark out, like it was like they were like shutting off the lights because
I think the last match was like it was Barney and Stone
9:30 p.m. when Barney and Stone Collection played.
They had to stop the best of 5 and only make it a best of 3.
Oh,
but
my
they also started like at 11 a.m. right? So I started at 8:30, and my last game was 8:30 p.m. Yeah, so I was like 12 hours at the venue playing it out. We were sweeping the bracket against WTM Go.
Oh man.
Yeah,
that guy runs some wild stuff.
He ran a wild team, and he had no answer for Shadow Canto Ninetales. So I 6-0'd him in the finals.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
See, crazy. I wasn't the first one to get 6-0. They just didn't broadcast that one.
Yeah, exactly.
It has to be more common knowledge. It's me, him, and what's his name? Asper Celto from Sylph Worlds.
Oh, true, yeah.
Trust me, I remember everyone in my group, right? It's not fun to be there.
06 Club.
Yeah, the 06 Club. It's not a fun time. Yeah, no, that's pretty awesome. So I know you won Bochum this past year. Did you attend other tournaments too? I think you attended at least 1 or 2.
Yeah, right? I attended Stuttgart, which didn't work out pretty well.
Yeah.
So, I think I went out in round 3, so just messed up. Just couldn't perform well. The team wasn't good. I wasn't playing on point. It was just a bad tournament. And I attended EYC as well. But that also didn't turn out. I tried to make off-meta work, and it just, if you're playing against the big guys, you just can't mess around with some off-meta stuff. I mean, some players made it work, right? But I just couldn't.
Right. That makes sense. So for both of you too, because I know, well, actually all 3 of you attended Last Chance Qualifier 2 years or a year ago, and then all 3 of you were at Worlds. I know Anicor didn't compete, but the other you 2 did. Having seen kind of both years, what are your thoughts on Last Chance Qualifiers, like as a concept? Would you want that to be a thing again? Assuming again, same thing, like only 2 players make it into Worlds after it.
So I think it was quite accessible when it was in London, right? So like it's like a pretty public place. A lot of planes go in there, and it's like quite easy to reach, especially from Europe, but also from America, right? It's like you can get on a plane and get to London directly. But Hawaii and Yokohama, it's like a different story. I mean, it's actually going there hoping to compete is a bit messed up, and hoping to, like, if they do it, they have to announce it early, but they would never announce something like this before the last tournament, which is NAIC. That's quite late to book a travel just to try to qualify there. So I like the concept, but I think it's pretty hard if it's that far out of the regions that it was last year and this year.
Yeah, I think I completely agree with that, and I think I was going to say the same, in that London is accessible, and actually, obviously, we say that as Europeans. There were obviously players that weren't able to come to Worlds when it was held in London, and so maybe from that perspective, it is fairer to just have, everyone knows what the position is at the beginning of the season. Obviously, we're still unsure as to what's happening in terms of travel awards this season, but we're hoping that will be resolved soon, and then that will set a precedent going forwards. But I agree. Whilst the concept is nice, it maybe is fairer and a little bit more accessible if just everyone knows what they can do from the outset.
Yeah, personally, I don't mind it. Because I think like regardless of where Worlds is going to be, it's always going to be like inaccessible for certain, or like less accessible for certain regions. But admittedly, yeah, like I don't think anyone should plan to travel there for the purpose of the last chance qualifier. I think that's like, unless you're fine with spending all that money and not qualifying, I think that shouldn't be your priority when you do book that ticket. And if it is, then that's just on you.
True.
Yeah, I suppose one other perspective you can look at it as is there has been some commentary on the way that a point system works, in that players who are most able to financially afford to attend lots of different tournaments inherently have an advantage over those that aren't, and perhaps giving Worlds qualification places to people who have already flown out to somewhere like Hawaii or Yokohama compounds that concern. And so that maybe that's something to just consider as well.
Mm-hmm. One thing that's interesting is like with mentioning the point system is VGC. I don't know about TCG, but VGC, aside from this year's Worlds, they usually do a VGC Open, which is like a side event that will award championship points to the next season. So I'm wondering if there's potentially plans on, if it's not just obviously I doubt they'll do another last chance qualifier, but if there's plans on doing these kind of side events that will award CP towards the next season.
That's a good question too, because I know in Europe they don't, well actually in any region outside of North America they don't have locals or cups or anything, right? So there's nothing to award championship points. So that's interesting too, because you could get kind of a leg up on your region, especially if you're outside North America, to have those. Actually, out of curiosity, and I'm sure you might know this, Tomahawk, was there any side events at Barcelona where you could get championship points? Okay, because they had it at Pittsburgh, so I think they're going to have that
at Pittsburgh.
They did on Friday. Okay, so yeah, so for anyone listening, anyone going to any North America regionals, oh shoot, I kind of screwed myself out because I'm going to Sacramento late on Friday. But you you want to show up earlier on Friday or maybe even Thursday, because it starts Friday morning. They usually have a tournament at the North America regionals.
Interesting.
Like that you could get. They're like cups too. I think you get up to 50 points.
So
that's like the Go Cup.
Yeah, it's a Go Cup.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's kind of bad,
Right, I mean, that's a lot of points you could get right there.
That's a lot of points, but it's also a lot of points which is again being given to people who pay to travel to the location.
Yeah, so
if that is the only Go Cup, that's a bit of a...
I'm pretty sure it's a Go Cup, and the thing is the competition's apparently not that stacked, because a lot of the competitors fly in on Friday and they're going to miss it. So you have to fly in a day early, or like if you're just like a local, right? But yeah, I mean that's a whole different.
I'm not entirely sure how these cups work. I remember seeing someone on Twitter posting that they'd gained more points by doing a cup, and they kind of posted a match slip as to what they'd been playing. There were very few players involved.
Yeah,
but a reasonably high number of points being awarded with that, given that context. So I don't know if they're just testing this system in North America, or they're trying to balance the fact that North Americans can sometimes be very difficult for people to travel from one end to the other. So although it's the continental regionals across NA, not everyone can actually go to them, whereas it's arguably a little bit easier in Europe. And maybe it's the fact that you've got a higher point threshold, but either way, I think there's likely to be people on either side of whether or not it's fair, or whether or not it's the way forward.
Yeah, I think it's probably fair for like other regions. I do think like there's pros and cons, but I feel like the locals are kind of scuffed in my opinion, because like you could say like some regionals have less people, so like it's less competition. But some of these locals literally have like 4 people.
Yeah.
And you could like get like 40 points with 4 people there.
So I can guarantee you, if I'm doing a local in my federal state, that it's basically a paid actor event for me every single month. So
yeah,
it's like
some people off the
it's
street,
probably I probably have to like pay a round of beers for everyone to attend, just to fill it up, to have the players to attend. But it's probably like, if I want to farm points, and it's probably possible in Austria, like I probably guarantee you that if I lose one round in like 10 months, it's probably a lot.
Yeah, even the bigger cities in the U.S., like Boston, right? I think it was held in Cambridge, maybe in Massachusetts, which is like close by to Boston. They held one this past weekend. I saw a picture. It was Enhoff, Phoebe, this guy named Alan, and then someone else. I forgot the 4th person. And they were all in a car together, carpooling to it.
Yeah,
and that was it. Yeah. That was the 4 people. The whole tournament was in this car, carpooling together. And then Enhoff won it, right? So congrats to her. But like, you know, like that's
was she driving?
I think she was.
I think she was.
Yeah, that's how.
She's pretty good, so I can see why she would, like, hey, come on, let's fit this minimum.
Like,
how she roped Phoebe into it, like
I don't know, but I mean, like she's qualified for Worlds before, so that's not a knock on her. But I think there's some regions where like it could be just like one person that's maybe hit like an all-time best of veteran, and then 3 like complete scrub aces that are like, at this tournament, and they get like 50 like that's just like it's a lot of points, right?
So I think the goal should be that you get those players out to at least 1 or 2 regionals. That's like the goal of the point system behind it. Like, you shouldn't just farm local tournaments and make it to Worlds, right? So
I think I was going to say, I think one thing to bear in mind is this cap on how many points you can use from certain tournaments. And I understand that it's 6 per type of event, so 6 per regional, 6 per cup, and then you can have 1 international championship.
Now you can do as much international championships as you want.
Okay,
you can do as many international. So that's
you
really,
can go. That's what I.
Well, I guess that's the biggest pay to win.
Yeah. So it's like, that's what I said. I think it's almost impossible to get a travel award in Europe without attending NAIC.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is NAIC is right at the end of the season.
So it's like, if you're missing like 100, 200 points for the top cut to make travel award, I think without attending NAIC, you just can't make it. Unless you sweep EUIC, because that's like a solid 500 points.
Right.
But without attending NAIC, I think it's pretty tough to get the travel award.
I think for the other games, TCG and VGC, I think the person that wins the IC gets a travel award, automatic one. But I don't know. Maybe that's not true.
Think so, but I mean, they get travel
this year.
But they get travel stipends to other ICs.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
So if you're like top 20 in NA, you get a travel stipend to EUIC. It's like $750 or so. So
yeah, it's pretty wild, because if you pay attention to people at the internationals, I'll see the same people. Like, it'll be like the same group of. I was like, how are these people from the US going to every IC? But then I realized it's because they're getting this travel stipend.
They're getting travel
stipends. So like TomaHawk said, there is a cap on the locals. But you could do 6 for the challenges, which I think is like 30 points max, and then 6 for the cups, which is 50 points max. So you get up to 390 on just locals, and you only need 110 points to make it to Worlds after that for NA, which is like, you probably got.
It's wild.
You probably got over 100 just from Barcelona.
TomaHawk got 130, right?
Yeah.
So I got 100. Maxi and I both got 130. Patterman gets 160, and
wait, you only got 1, but you got third. Oh, it is third and fourth doesn't matter.
Third
and fourth, the same number of points, but I got a nicer medal, I think. So
yeah, I think so. Yeah, and you beat him. So
fair point.
Yeah. But one thing I'm interested to hear your guys' thoughts on is, obviously Zweilous now has 200 points and a qualification spot at Hawaii sorted, right? But as we know, he doesn't, as far as we understand, have the travel award.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now, everyone who doesn't win a regional event, they need to accumulate 400 points in Europe and even more in North America, right? So Zweilous, I think he's doing events anyway, but he is somewhat forced to now attend further events to try and compete with that ladder to ensure he gets a travel award.
Yeah, whereas he probably has to do the calculations.
Immediately awards a travel system. Do you think that works? What are your guys' views on that?
So I think you have to calculate it for yourself. Like if it's like cheaper to actually pay the travel to Hawaii or attend 5 regionals plus maybe 2 ICs to get the travel award. So I think it's like winning the first regional probably makes it easier if you just don't attend any regionals anymore and just spend the money for Hawaii. But if you're like in between, right, like you now, imagine you attend like Lille, and then you sweep Gdansk and you make your world qualification there. You probably keep going to events because you already spent a reasonable amount of money to go to those events.
Yeah, exactly. So I think for TCG and VGC, they allocate a certain amount of spots per region for travel award. So actually, I think I said this on a previous episode, but for Go, we actually were like cashing in on travel awards because for the amount of players that went to like qualify for Worlds, it was like half of them got travel awards. For VGC and TCG, it's not like that at all. It's like they get like maybe like 10% or less. They get travel awards, maybe somewhere around there. It's way less.
I think it's around top 10, top 20 gets travel award, and top 35 gets travel stipends.
Yeah.
That's
so
like way less.
It's less.
It's like $2,000 difference.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So like you said, like if you don't, for Europeans, like whoever goes to both EUIC and NAIC will have a huge advantage, right? Obviously, if they do poorly, then it doesn't mean much. But you don't have to do as well to get a lot of points.
Exactly.
In those. So maybe I'll see all of you at New Orleans later this year. But it's apparently a fun city. I've never been.
Apparently, it could be the first tournament that we cap at maybe 512 people, right? Like we don't know how many spots we get, but
dude, we're gonna need Europeans' help for that because these NA tournaments are like abysmal. There's 67 people going to Sacramento so far.
Well, we have 130 for Lille, so it's
you have how much? Yeah, and your signups came out less than a week ago. Ours came out like a month plus ago. I don't.
Bro,
like.
That's so disappointing.
I don't know if 500 participants. Like, let's think practically, right?
No, but you need like the step up from 256.
Yeah, sure. But you're gonna arrive and they're gonna say, okay, you're in Group Q. Your first game's on Tuesday.
No, everything above 256. Let's be real. Everything above 256 has to be Swiss.
Yeah.
Like you
I
can't.
don't know if they do that. Like
you can't have 512 people play out a double elimination bracket until top cut on day one. Like
that's going to be really interesting because I don't know if they have it. I don't know personally, so I'm not even like withholding information. I don't know if they have the infrastructure or plans to expand it past 256 for Go this year. But
honestly, that would be a big disappointment if they don't, because again, like NAIC is placed, so it's like.
Do you remember how fast we sold out EUIC? EUIC was sold out within a day. Right?
Yes, but that's you all. For us, we didn't sell for over a month, and then a bunch of you just end up no showing, or like VGC TCG people just bought up the spots. Yeah, it took so long.
But like, I already booked hotel for EUIC. If I don't get a ticket there, I'll be mad as fuck.
Oh yeah. Like I feel you. Yeah, trust me. The North Americans they haven't even looked into it probably. So
probably yeah. I mean it's far longer there, but
yeah. I know on Twitter they tagged you and a bunch of other people on like, oh, it must be so cheap to like travel in Europe, and that's why you all go to somebody.
I love how they tagged the wrong guy as well.
I was like they don't know I'm technically American, dude. I live in the middle of nowhere. Like no travel for me is cheap.
Yeah, it's just a mentality thing. Like, there's some really good players in North America, but I don't know what it is. The excitement's just not matched.
Yeah. So like last season, it was also easier, right? So I attended the regional, and I was like going in with the mindset, I'm just gonna win it, and I'm getting my travel one. Mm-hmm. But this year, it's like, so I'm gonna have to do 6 anyways. So
yeah, you got grind.
So you can't really drink on Friday because you want to do well on Saturday. So it's like it hits different.
The real issues.
Yeah, let's be real. It's the community is the most important aspect of those tournaments, right? Everyone going to sleep early on Friday evening it's less fun for everyone.
Well, I mean, we say that, but I spoke to Maxi on Saturday after we both qualified in for the day 2, right? I said, right, what's your plan for the evening? We're going to get an early night's sleep so that we're both in kind of good mindset. He's like, yeah, nothing stupid. We arrive the next morning. I'm well rested. I'm like, how you doing? He's like, I got home at 4 a.m. And I was like, good stuff. But yeah, I got the wrong train. I then went and got a McDonald's, and I ended up at home at 4. I was like,
wow, that's fair.
And that's why he put his lantern in the back twice in a row. That was the 4 a.m. McDonald's.
Yeah, well, that's why you won. So, before we get to into Barcelona, so what do you all think? Do you like the old system more with the top 2, or do you like the new system with championship points? And it's okay to be a little biased. I know you technically would have just missed the qualification cutoff this past weekend on 3rd place, but now you actually get a decent amount of points for it still, right?
I think one thing, when you look at games generally, right, you generally would say that the more skilled a game is, the more it rewards a consistent player. And so with that in mind, a point system can have a lot of merit because it says the most consistent players are the ones that should qualify, rather than some, schmuck who manages to fleece his way to Warsaw finals and there we go, right? So I think that it does have a lot of potential to be a good system. I think that this will be a season in which they test numbers, in which they test the different opportunities, as we say with the Go Cup, and we might refine it over the next season or 2 before we get something that really does work. I think going forward, it probably is better than having just top 2 from a regional qualifier.
Yeah.
So I'm a bit biased there because I did pretty well in the previous format, and now again I have to do at least 6 regionals to somehow have it. Like, there's no way I'm gonna attend Hawaii without a travel award. Let's be real. I have like 3 kids, a wife, a house. Like, there's no way I wanna spend the money to go to Hawaii all on my own. So I kind of have to do 6 regionals, EYC, maybe NAIC even, which is a lot of money and a lot of time spent. Like, I also have to take a lot of days off work, which I would rather spend with my family somewhere.
With that in mind, because I think that is a really good point. Do you think that the best compromise is that the winner gets both the qualification spot and the travel award, and everyone else has to reach the cumulative 400 points or whatever?
So I do think it's actually a bad system to not give the winner of a regional championship or like even European international championship, which we don't know, or national North America, the travel award, right? They should like have the benefit. If you're like that good to win a tournament, you should be able to go no matter what circumstances you're in, right? So if like imagine again, Poland regional or some random Polish guy shows up, sweeps the tournament, there's no way he's ever gonna. Sorry, but maybe sounds a bit bad, but usually it's just really hard for them to afford to go to Worlds, right, or go to Hawaii, because it costs like 4,000, 500,000 euros to go there from Europe.
That's wild.
So without a travel award, there's no way he ever makes it there. So we have a lot of dead spots at Worlds. We just have way less travel awards, and people just can't not attend.
Yeah, I completely agree for the record. I mean, if anyone from Play Pokemon or Niantic is, if they're watching this, we want.
And they are. We know they are.
There are some. Yeah, they want the skills, but I do get some DMs once in a while.
Skill, right? We want the most skilled players to be at the World Championships.
Exactly.
Those players shouldn't be precluded by accessibility hurdles.
Exactly.
So I completely echo what you
so
said.
that also like always also picked the fact up that season 1 we had no travel awards for APAC region, so except for like Japan and Korea, like the entire APAC region, everything south of Japan didn't get anything to travel there. And how many players were showing up? None of them, right? This season was kind of similar, like just a few players showed up, and that just shows how hard it is to attend those way far out of your region tournaments without financial help from the Pokemon company.
Yeah, I think
a
lot
of
argument
though is there is prize money. I do agree that they should still give a travel award to the number 1 place, but I think one argument towards that is there is prize money in addition, which maybe should then. So
you want to know how much prize money? You want to know how much prize money I got for winning Bochum?
Not for Barcelona.
So you want to know how much prize money I got for winning Bochum?
How much?
After taxes, 700 euros.
Oh yeah, that's not a lot at all.
So that's.
Do you know what the thing is? Also, I think I think everyone outside the US, when they get sent their prize money,
they don't have to pay
taxed
taxes.
the maximum amount. Well, this is the thing: you don't have to pay taxes.
So you can get it
what
back.
What they do is they pay. Yeah, they give you. They tax you the maximum amount.
Yeah.
And then expect you to then claim it back.
Exactly. So
which is something that I'm not sure if many players actually do claim back. Because I'm not sure
if pretty
actually, TomaHawk, you're a lawyer. Yeah, so I mean, if anyone's gonna
let's be clear, I'm a film and television lawyer, not a tax lawyer.
Right, so you know something about mispayments, yeah. So.
No, but for real, like even travel award, travel award is $3,500 outside of region, right? And so after taxes, I got 2,167 euros.
What?
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, so that was a big pain, honestly. And you see, that's hitting me as a probably spoiled European. And now imagine that hits like a poor kid from, I don't know, India or Taiwan or wherever, right? It's like,
I mean, that's why like all these North Americans tagging, Europeans like, oh, it's so cheap to travel from Europe and whatever. I'm just like, I don't think that's the case, Like I'm not saying it's not really
definitely
cheaper.
It's definitely cheaper. Don't get me wrong, right? Mm-hmm. But it's still a lot of money we have to spend to get to those regions.
Yeah, and I think the reality is, and obviously I'm not going to drop any names, but there are some very young, talented players. As we know, we've seen a lot of them perform very, very well. And especially those that have to balance, their school and everything else and their families, and those that require taking a guardian to these tournaments.
Yeah.
When you're now required to go to 4, 5, 6 tournaments, it's not affordable. When you can't guarantee a travel award, you can't even say, oh, I'll just go to one and win it, because then you can't go to Hawaii anyway. So
exactly.
Yeah. Some of them are aging up, though. I know Wadaj is turning 18 this year, so he definitely won't need a guardian for Worlds this upcoming year.
True.
So, but yeah, I think I do.
But Wadaj is already earning money.
He's
making big money.
So for him going to another regionals, he's getting money out of it.
Exactly. But this is about encouraging. When we talk about grassroots and things, we want to encourage new players, young players to kind of rise up, and we just need to make sure that we encourage removing those hurdles.
It's an expensive hobby. They say rating is an expensive hobby, but it is getting more expensive these days. It is getting expensive. I mean, if I was as good as Wadaj, I'd just fly to every tournament in North America. I'd be like just cashing out, right? Like even if you don't win it all, like you get like top cut consistently.
I mean, the brilliant thing about the new system is because Worlds invites don't cascade anymore. If Wadaj just goes to every regional, he can just preclude everyone else from qualifying.
Eliminate the competition early. Yeah.
I actually haven't thought about that. But that's
Hey, if you can't beat him at a regional, you're not going to beat him at Worlds.
True.
But yeah, let's talk about Barcelona too, because I know EJ, you weren't at this one, correct?
No, I wasn't.
Yeah, but I know obviously TomaHawk was, and let me just say this. I mean, you talked about it earlier, but this meta is wild. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm looking at these teams. I'm like, how does any of this stuff work? But it's actually, I feel like this is the best meta since the Trevin and Walren days, and some might argue even better than that.
It's the best meta ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so non-RPS heavy. It's like it was like I think Barcelona was the most skilled regional I've ever seen, and I've watched it all, and I enjoyed watching it after the lag ended, kind of. But it was pretty fun to watch, and the meta looks pretty healthy. There were some nice additions. I do think a few Pokemon are still kind of unhealthy for the meta, but for the most part, I think it's the best meta we ever had.
I agree with that, and I think I've been vocal before in discussing RPS triangles and the way in which the meta previously has kind of forced everyone to kind of make a choice. And it's difficult because when I qualified for Worlds last year, I qualified in a meta pre-Wing Attack buff, right?
Oh yeah, that's
right. Was when we had Medicham and Lickitung as a very, very strong core, and Noctowl had emerged in that regional as a brilliant core breaker to those two. It then received a wing attack buff that I personally didn't think it needed. It was great for all the other wing attack users, but Noctowl, I was like, hold on a minute, that was already
It was
coming
already
in,
winning tournaments, yeah.
you know? And then the problem that presented was we don't have a wealth of really good, viable grass types in Great League. And so when Lantern received a buff as well, and you have Noctowl as the premium flyer, Trevenant, being one of the few viable grass types, was so hard-walled by Noctowl that it just created a horrible RPS triangle.
Yeah.
And
honestly,
I think,
you could say Trev was the only viable grass type because it shut down every other grass type.
Yeah. But it also beat the steals, right?
Yeah.
So,
And Medicham.
And Medicham. Like its roll compression was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So Trevenant obviously had a place. Not many other grasses did. You know, maybe Venusaur was a spicy option. Now, I know a lot of people don't like Lantern, and I'm not here to defend Lantern, but I was going to say that Lantern, you know, on paper, it didn't have incredible move sets. You know, we weren't saying Spark is an incredible move, Surf's not an incredible, etc. Right? But the problem is that you kind of had to play it because it was safe, it has good typing, it has good bulk, and it was very energy efficient. But I didn't really see that necessarily as a problem, and some people did, and that can be a discussion for another day. But what I did see was that because Noctowl was so safe into so many other picks, you really did want to bring Noctowl. And so that created a problem because you either bring all three or you don't, and regardless, you're stuck at the mercy of that RPS triangle. And that's changed completely this season because now the premium flyers and the viable grass types, they can all hit each other back. And the one that remains, as Maxi knows, is that Lantern and grass type matchup. Right?
Exactly.
And I think overall, that just gives us a much healthier approach. You know, you can switch in your Gligar into a grass type and you still have to pay attention. You know,
exactly.
And you can switch your anti-flyer, your Lantern, into a Gligar, and you still have to pay attention. And all of a sudden, that really does merit good plays, sensible plays, waiting for switch clocks, you know, shielding the right moves. You know, and as EJB says, I do think that this is the healthiest meta that we've had in a while, and I'm quite excited because I think we've only got for Europe, we've only got 2 more regionals with this meta.
Yeah.
And then we might see a shift, and I'm interested to see what that looks like too.
Yeah, you might not be as interested if it goes poorly, because I don't know how much it could get better than this. But
so I think as long as they let us play Medicham Lickitung, which is just always so neutral into a lot of things, and as long as this is viable, the meta stays kind of healthy.
I feel like that's a pattern as well.
Yeah, so if they buff like a Pidgeot for whatever reason or whatever, like core breaks those two again and forces you to bring more Lantern and forces you to bring another grass type again, and you end up with this cycle again. Until then, we are fine. But I think as long as we play Medi, Licky, Umbreon, even Carbink couldn't break up this stuff, right?
Oh, dude, Carbink's so hard to use. I was talking to EJB like in DMs. I was like, I'll be the first one to make Carbink work, and I just like kept looking at my team. I was like, this does nothing for me. Like it's so bad. And so I finally I might have to give it up for Sacramento.
It's like you don't even beat the current Flyers. So like, what's Carbink gonna do, right?
Yeah, exactly. Especially if you're not running Rock Throw, but you kind of need the tackle for like better neutral.
Yeah.
It's so weird. I tried. I was trying to build a Carbink team so badly. And like I was watching the Barcelona stream and trying to team build, and I just couldn't think of anything.
It's always the dead spot. It's always the dead spot on the team.
Yeah, I'm like, how do I have enough things that counters all the like the waters and the grass and Registeel and still like I brought like so many. I had like triple flyers at one point, but just like it's so hard to run.
Pretty good against Registeel, right?
Like only not even all of them, just 2 of them maybe. But yeah. But I'm just like loose alone Sandslash, which I'm not a fan of. But you know, it was something interesting that TomaHawk said too is because Lantern got Surf when you qualify for Worlds, but no one used Lantern because what was it? Was it because Nidoqueen was so popular? It was like it was something like kept Lantern out of the meta because
There
Noctowl was already
no
okay,
one,
but
no one played
think-
no one played flying types. Lantern
yeah,
had
maybe
no
that's what it
targets.
was.
The thing is,
Altaria was
Lantern was
one of
still
the
good at
flying
neutral.
types that I remember. Because I remember Cockshack brought an Altaria that was a little bit
So
tough
like
for me.
Lantern had just had no targets on the
had
teams.
no targets. Yeah.
The thing is, I think Lantern had the same amount of targets, but it was still, and I think this is maybe the case with this meta as well. It was, the start of a new meta. You had 3 tournaments within the same weekend, and sometimes people can like sort of hone in on specific picks.
Maybe
and
it was
then just
also
sort of
because
carry those through, right?
Yeah, maybe it was also because Trevenant was still kind of unchecked.
Yeah, and also like it was the beginning of the first full season.
Yeah,
and I'm wondering also how much with players starting to go to regionals, how much experimenting they were really willing to do with picks that they hadn't seen or used before, or just picks that maybe hadn't really won a regional, so they can be confident in in using it.
Well, the other thing
because
is
it still had the same targets.
Galarian Stunfisk was way higher usage early on last season because Walrein got nerfed.
True.
And so Walrein nerfed, Registeel had less value. And so almost like most people were running Galarian Stunfisk as their steal of choice, and then obviously Nidoqueen is still around too. So that was, I think it was also, again, there weren't as many flyers as well. Or Noctowl usage was like here or there.
Yeah,
but
main flyer was Altaria, and it actually beat Lantern consistently.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah.
Well, whilst we're on the topic of, I was going to say, whilst we're on the topic of Galarian Stunfisk and steel types, I've had a conversation briefly with Wadaj about which is the best steel type in this meta. He's very much in the Registeel camp. He's obviously won Pittsburgh with it. Mm-hmm. I would like to point out that he could probably have won the regional with whatever steel type he chose. I'm very much in the camp of Alolan Sandslash being the best steel type. And
did you run Powder Snow or Shadow Claw?
Going forward, I would say Powder Snow is the play.
But you ran Shadow Claw for Barcelona.
I think Shadow Claw, given the rise, or at least the re-emergence of Lickitung, given Gligar, given Umbreon, I think Powder Snow has a lot of play going forward.
So what I say about Shadow Alolan Sandslash is, for me, it just doesn't fulfill the steel role as good as it should. So for me, Sandslash was always like the second steel type on a team. So I never could, like, when I build a team, I never could like put it on a team and say, yeah, that's gonna be my steel type to go, because there are like matchups. Like, imagine you run into like a Medicham Deoxys team, you would do suicide running Sandslash into the team. Well, you can run Registeel into a Medicham Deoxys team without any problems. And so I always said I'm a huge Registeel simp. Like, I think I've never used G-Fisk or any other steel type at a tournament except Registeel. And I think it's still the best steel type just because Lickitung is so good. Which is fair that you say Powder Snow Sandslash, but Registeel still hits different there.
How does Powder Snow Sandslash do against Registeel? Because I know Shadow Claw won. I'd rather be the Alolan Sandslash.
You actually, I don't remember which one, but I think you lose. I think you lose the one shield, which you would win otherwise with Shadow. Yeah, or is it the 2 shields even? So like, you maybe win the ones but lose the 2s. But
one thing that I would say to the point of Registeel being able to go into Medicham, I also think, as you saw in Barcelona, that I think Dynamic Punch is the way now.
Yeah, I wanted it once even.
I've been on that Dynamic Punch grind forever. San Diego and Fresno too. It's Dynamic Punches. I love seeing that too, because it just, you can't run these like ABA like weak to fighting lines anymore, because you just get punished so hard with like a Lickitung.
Exactly. So I was running Dynamic Punch Medi at Worlds, and it was so good.
Yeah,
it was so good.
Yeah. So I think comboing that with like getting that break point in the mirror, just really, I guess, like solidifies what you were really.
So like the only real matchup you missed Psychic is Azu, and now you don't win that matchup anyways anymore. So
and the
you need
mirror.
like a rank 1 now.
Yeah, you don't need it in the mirror if you want a breakpoint Medi. So.
Well, yeah, that's true, and also with Psychic nerf, right? Yeah. Before, whenever I played it, I was At San Diego, I should have brought in more, but I was just like so paranoid and scared, and I just kept getting like steamrolled by Ramberto running like G-Fisk and like Umbreon, G-Fisk lead Umbreon back. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, Dynamic Punch, but I was just too scared to bring it because he had like a Trevenant, a Frostlass, and his own Metachan.
I remember at Bochum, I did the
Yeah.
same thing against Chun. He had also played Dynamic Punch Medi.
He did,
And I lead my Umbreon and had Wedgie Steel in the back. And once I saw the Medi, I was like, yeah, that's where I want to see it. And in my head, I literally just played out the matchup how I want to play it. And I was like, oh fuck, this is Dynamic Punch. Like this is gonna clap me. Yeah. And so I had to spend shields early, and I think I actually won that game. But it's like if you forget about it, it can actually screw over your entire strategy.
Yeah, it's wild too, and you get to the second Dynamic Punch even faster than the second.
Exactly. It's like 5.
In Fresno, I just brought it a ton. I was like, I don't really care. I already qualified. I'll just see what happens. And I avoided. I didn't have a single Metachan mirror matchup. Like my Metachan never saw another Metachan, which was wild because there's Metachan everywhere. Yeah, but that's why I really thrived, and I didn't face a single Supergirl. But I think it's that'll be interesting because especially if everyone else is running Dynamic Punch, then it's even less of a threat to bring it because you don't have to worry about the mirror matchup. You just have to, you'll be okay. But yeah, TomaHawk's team was super interesting too for Barcelona. I know. So you ran the Thunder Lantern, which I heard you explain on an interview afterward on why you ran it, which I think was super clever. But also, like, I was on the EJB about this too because I was watching your matchup versus Z's Wireless, and I was like, wait. I was like, why does he keep bringing Mantine? But then I realized like you didn't have any other Metacham check. And then I was just like, how do you make it this far in the tournament running just Mantine as his Metacham check? Just talk us through your team because it's super interesting to see.
Yeah, so my Metacham, I think as Anicor pointed out, if you can hit a breakpoint in the Metacham mirror, I'm actually very comfortable in the mirror. I think I only had to play one once. I think it was against Maxi, but he didn't shield his anyway. He was happy for his to go down. But yeah, I'm happy with my Metacham into a Metacham mirror. Obviously, Mantine is so oppressively good versus Metacham. Superior can beat Metacham, and other than the twos where the counter damage really racks up, Superior I think was a really solid pick for me. I think Venusaur as well is a great grass type, but one of the problems with Venusaur is you can't counter swap into a Metacham with Venusaur because you just get outpaced. So Lantern, Superior both have very neutral matchups against Metacham, and now that I was running Thunder, people, it's in your head. People are like, I don't really want to take a Thunder. I don't exactly know how much it does. And I think that gave me quite a good advantage going into a meta quite early, is that people weren't necessarily prepared for things that didn't look right. When they're suddenly seeing a quick attack hitting their Charizard and they're like, I'm losing damage faster than I expected to here, then suddenly, people either misplay or they don't quite play it optimally. And that was one of the reasons why I was quite confident going into this meta quite early on, because I was very comfortable with the picks that I had made immediately. As I say, 2 days after the meta update, I kind of had this team ready. And the one change that I made is when I watched Pittsburgh and I saw Pocket running a very similar team, which I understand Maxi and Onion Frank actually had a lot of input into. I then considered Bubble Beam on Mantine. That was the only thing I considered after watching Pocket's run, and I thought actually that Bubble Beam can be useful for the Lickitung matchup, which I was otherwise a little bit soft to across my team. But I went in and I kind of knew how I was going to approach these things, and I had quite a few matchups where I would safe swap the Diggersby, and my opponent would counter swap Metacham, and in my head I'm like, okay, there's not much I can do here. It is what it is, and they would just lose count, and all of a sudden their Metacham gets hyper beamed. And they go, I've managed to lose Switch because I got greedy. I was trying to farm up too much. And it's interesting because Jonkus actually today, or when, at the time of recording, posted a video saying that Zweilis and I had conversations and we discussed tactics and things. And we had. And one of the tactics that I told him after our match was that I'd played against some people who weren't shielding Hyper Beam against Metacham. And so then when I throw Hyper, I actually baited, but he did shield that. And I was like, he's scared of the Hyper Beam. But it was interesting that Inadequance actually both told us. He goes, Shadow Venusaur into Shadow Alolan Sandslash. He goes, that's interesting because if you land one Frenzy Plant, you can 2-shield farm down. And he kind of told us both separately, and then we briefly discussed it together as well. And then there was a matchup where I was like, hold on a minute, we've talked about this. I need to shield the first Frenzy Plant, otherwise I'm in trouble. So there were, lots of different opportunities because it was so early in the meta. And I think that going forwards, it might be trickier for me at different regionals because we've got some much more calculated players that are going to be at these future events that they're going to have much safer teams. I wouldn't necessarily say my team is safe. I'd almost say
definitely not safe,
right?
Yeah,
and I can get away with that. I think when other people are unsure of how things play out, and once people are kind of attuned to how these things work, it then becomes a little bit more difficult. And I wasn't a huge fan of going into a best of 5 even in Barcelona because I was like, Zweilous knows my team. He now knows all of my movesets. He knows what kinds of lines I can run. And I didn't have many options to run safe lines versus his team. And I was getting away with that earlier when I had, moveset surprise and things like that. And one of the things that's difficult about going on stream is that you lose that. And so there was one game which lots of people might have been questioning my team selection for. I led Diggersby and I had an early time flash in the back. And I said to myself, look, I need to try some crazy plays here because otherwise he has a much safer matchup versus me. And whatever lead he sees, he can go into a Lickitung, he can go into a Sableye, and he has an opportunity to get a shield or to get switch. I don't really have that luxury, and so I need to kind of gamble on an ABA. And I was thinking, if I go Diggersby and he leads Sableye with a Lickitung swap, I'm laughing. The only thing I don't want to see is Metachan. What happens? What happens? Of course. Yeah. So, RPS will never die, but it doesn't count if you play silly teams like I do.
Well, so you mentioned a really good point about the movesets, and obviously being on stream, you have a disadvantage. Going to day 2 in general, you have a disadvantage because everyone, for the most part, I don't know if people saw the Thunder on day 1.
No, I actually made sure not to use all of my Pokemon on the stream in day 1 just so I could maintain something for day 2.
Yeah, that's really smart. So I was going to ask, well, I guess all 3 of you too, if you had the option, would you prefer the current format we have now, or would you prefer open team sheets right away? So like once you match up round 1, you can see your opponent's movesets right off the bat. Because that's what they do for TC or for VGC.
Yeah,
So
I'm 100% in. Yeah, give me open team sheets.
I would say that if you have open team sheets, it completely changes the way you team build. I think that's obvious, right?
Yeah.
I think that open team sheets might put off some people because you don't get the opportunity for surprise. You don't get there is an element of boom, that's happened. You didn't see that coming. That's a lot of fun. However, in terms of skill, open team sheet rewards skilled players the most. Yeah. And arguably that's what we should be doing. And on that basis,
talking about consistency, right? Imagine you lose to like a Hyper Beam Lickitung, which and then you get RPS. And then you get RPS in game 2, right? So like it's nothing to do with skill. It's just your opponent just gambled all on everything, and he will never win another game with that thing. But you just get screwed over by that and get RPS maybe the game after, and you drop out of the tournament. So it's like talking about consistency and skill. Open team sheets is what we should get.
I think we're probably
soon.
Still a bit early-ish, for this to become like a big problem in regionals, because we still don't have like as much diversity on movesets as there potentially could be.
Yeah, but even knowing if your Lantern is in Water Gun or Spark is a huge advantage.
Yeah. It's true.
And I'm talking from the perspective. I'm talking from the perspective from being on stream basically round 2 latest.
Sure.
So it can screw you over, and it's just not fair, right? Because like I had plays and opponents in regionals and USC where they said, I know what movesets you had. So like even I played double at UIC, right? The opponents knew that I had payback, so they didn't have to shield their flyers against my double. Or the Zoomer will, right? So it's like it gives, even if it's like a slight advantage, it's an advantage. And if we want to play on even playing fields, then give us open team shield.
Yeah, there have been some events where even just teams in general, like some large LATAM events last season where some of the players weren't on stream, and then going into day 2, no one really knew their teams.
Yeah.
And if you're in, on the other side of that, where people are able to practice the entire night against your team and you still have no clue what you're playing.
Yeah.
It's not really.
That's what happened to Auburn at Worlds.
Yeah, I remember him saying that.
Right.
I was having a drink with him in the evening, and he was like, "Yeah, he was playing on stream, but he has no clue what his opponent is running." I think he was even Rubik's master.
It was Rubik's master, yeah.
So he was like, he has no clue what he is playing, and
I was like, "Do you want some scrims?" And he's like, "Dude, I don't know what the guy's running at all. Like he doesn't not the moveset. He doesn't even know the 6 Pokemon."
Yeah. So it was that, that's like a big advantage.
That's a huge advantage.
So,
especially with Rubik's team too, because it wasn't a standard team. It was that of all the people he could have faced, that was the worst person to face. Yeah.
I think it's worth mentioning, but there is also an element of skill in being able to team read someone else's line and think, that has to be a water gun lantern. Basically. And there is an element of skill, and maybe there's argument that we should reward that. But I think it's outweighed by the point that you guys have just made. That the information
how often have you faced a team where you think it's gotta be water gun lantern because they have no other check they have no check to a G-Fisk, and then you just, I don't know, say swap a Charizard or whatever, or like a Gligar, and then they bring in a Charizard, or like, imagine, like, you know what I mean, and then they bring in a Spark Lantern, then you're like, okay, come on, like that doesn't make sense, right? So like you can actually get punished for being the better player. So
yeah, I made that mistake at Hartford Regional where I lost my first game against this opponent on day 1. Built up to a dynamic punch / psychic, right? And it was I think I say salt the Reggie Steel or something. Or I need to like try to win alignment. It's like, man, I was like, this could be a dynamic punch. I shield it, which is a power punch. And like the guy built up so much energy for a power punch. I shielded it and I just got cheesed completely. I was like, oh my gosh.
Maybe we should reward that guy, that's part of the game.
He was a nice guy.
It's part of the game.
I did win it, but it was stressful after the first game.
Do you want to hear something that's maybe a little bit bad, which I think it wasn't necessarily a mistake, but it was addressed in day 2. So in day 1, the headphones that you have to wear when you're on stream, there wasn't really any white noise, or at least it wasn't as loud as it was in day 2. And, maybe my fault, but I was playing against, I think it was Runevs in the winners final for Group A, right? Now, I know I have Dynamic Punch, so I'm not thinking about what my move is. But he told me after the game that he goes, "Oh no, I heard the casters on stream say that you've got Dynamic Punch." And I was like, I'm an idiot. I wasn't paying attention. I missed that because they apparently also said that he has Dynamic Punch. And I missed that. So I was shielding, thinking, just in case it's a psychic. There we go. White noise is important.
Yeah, so I actually pointed it out last year at EYC as well, that there was like, I could hear the casters. I mean, it was psionic, right? So it was like booming before I even shielded or no shielded. So. But yeah, I could hear them like even, it's shielding the bait, and then of course, no shield, right? So, but yeah, so
that is a good
I also think, like, let's just to talk about it briefly, that I don't know how they do it, but I think there has to be way more testing on stream and stream phones and headphones, etc. Because like I think the lag is preventable, most of it at least, and those things with headphones is also preventable just by testing it literally before the tournament again to see if everything works.
The weirdest thing is sometimes the lag is like just the stream phones, and the state, like the phones off stage are great, or then it's vice versa, right?
Yeah.
But it's like because I remember EUIC last year, the floor matches were fantastic. The stream matches were really rough, and they had to restart everything.
Exactly, but they figured it out, right? It was a pretty easy problem to fix, and So it could also have prevented by just testing the phones before and just play at least the best of 3 before, best of 5 before, and then you figure out if there's something wrong or not.
Yeah, I do really wonder, like, what the, obviously, I don't know, you might know a bit more in it, but like what the process is, because bro, literally, okay, day one Barcelona, it was the left phone the entire time, all the time, and like they were doing these like really long breaks, and I'm thinking, oh, the break to like fix the left phone, right?
No,
and then you come back again and it's the left phone again, and I'm like, how are you not seeing this?
To be fair, I'm trying to remember what I could see, because obviously we were watching from the little seats and things, and there was a lot of time that they were spending replacing phones, and they were trying, but they did. I think I spoke to one of the casters. They did say we didn't get an opportunity to test beforehand, and maybe that's something that they could do. Or, even if you have your caster battles beforehand, just do something before the players go on, so that you can see live gameplay. But I do think that they were trying to replace it and test the phones, and obviously when they finally did, we had a relatively smooth.
Yeah, day two was perfect.
Exactly, that's what I mean, right? It could have been prevented by just trying it early. And I think probably 80%. Like, obviously, you can't control if the Wi-Fi drops or have your power cut, like in Turin last year. But you can prevent this little stuff, and we deserve it. Like, we are paying money, we are attending those, we are spending our free time to go there to have a competitive regional, and we deserve better.
Yeah, and just for the viewer experience too, right? It's just
exactly.
Not,
it was a pain to watch as well. Like,
yeah. I don't know how. I think the probably the best way to address any type of lag, because you're playing on Wi-Fi, there's always going to be, or even like Ethernet, there's going to run into some issues. Is you would probably need like an on-site server, right? Like a LAN server. That they do this for like a lot of like big esports, but that's a very difficult thing, because you need to build out a server for each specific like in-person tournament, and I don't think we have the infrastructure. I think it probably takes coordination from both Niantic and TBCI to do it, and that's tough. It's
definitely.
Yeah, I'm hopeful though, because Pokemon Unite did it for NAIC and Worlds, so they had 0 ping, which was like the first time any of these players had it. Yeah.
That's amazing. Honestly, Go doesn't need a 0 ping, right? Go is fine if you're running on like a 20-25 ping, but that should be the goal, to have this consistently at our
Imagine 0 ping though. Oh my gosh,
dude, I would love to have this at home.
The swaps would be crazy.
And just imagine fast move deny back 10 with a 0 ping. That was
Imagine one turn.
Yeah, I would have denied.
You're going one turn ahead.
I would have denied Doombug back then with a 0.
Dude, so back in fast food nowadays, I will admit I didn't know how to optimize my charge moves. So I would because if you play optimally, if you play for optimization, you can't deny, because you're always optimizing on their turns. But I didn't know how to optimize it, so I would always go visually, which meant that I end up denying. And everyone, like, even not even just people from like outside NA, even NA players, like, yo, how you always deny me all the time and stuff. And I'm sitting there like, yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just throwing when I see the end of the incinerate, right? Like, I don't know, like I don't know what I'm doing. But I was denying people like nonstop, and people were like super frustrated with me. I was like,
my connection was pretty good back then. So it's not the best, but it was pretty okay-ish for it was pretty okay for fast move denial. And I played Stone Collection in a tournament. And my Frostless beat his I was a Sylph Cup, his Wormadam trash consistently, like, because I denied and sneaked every time. And I 3-0'd him, I think, and after that, the only message he wrote to me was like, I didn't know you moved to an A, and then he just goes to me.
I am glad they got rid of that too, because it forced a lot of people to. I was like, after they got rid of that, I was letting moves through left and right, and then I was like, I need.
Have you watched Butters after the fast move deny fix? That was a pain.
Wait, yeah, I feel like he told me something about he was like 4 fast move. No, he was. Yeah. He's still for something. I think he's still for guaranteed sneaks or something.
I have no clue, but watching him,
he's still for fast move denial on every single charge move now. Like he wants it. Like he's still on this personal agenda where he wants there to be fast move denials every time you throw a charge move.
So I think it doesn't matter unless it's consistent.
Yeah.
So
well, he just doesn't like the fast and pressure teams too, right? So like less racial leaves, less like smackdowns go through.
Yeah, but so the only thing I'm really missing is transferring fast move damage onto another Pokemon by switching out.
Yeah,
that was so good, having strategies like throwing back-to-back charge move, or like charge move switching and then coming back in on a 1 HP mon and throwing another charge move.
That now you're swapping. You're like just swapping mid fast move.
Yeah,
you just fades it out. You can't even throw them.
Yeah.
It's so awkward. I've seen that a few times. But yeah, going back to Barcelona too. Well, let me just say, Tomahawk, you kind of screwed over both me and EJP. Well, he didn't go all in. I went all in on channel points in your losers finals against you. I went all in with 24,488 channel points. EJP actually went in more channel points than me, but he didn't go. I think he like saved like 100 or something.
No, I spent 29,100 and I have 10,000 left now.
Okay. So
yeah.
Do you know what's mad is that actually last year, I don't have many channel points in it yet, but it was like this period where I was kind of forced to watch Twitch.
Yeah, well, I don't have any either.
All my channel points on Lurgan beating you in the final. All of them. Worst bet I've ever made.
Didn't work out well.
Yeah. Really well, to be fair, if I guess even if I bet on Z's Wireless in that one, I probably would have gone all in on Patamon because he had a game, like he had a set advantage. I was like, dude, you had to reset the finals and win it. That's like really hard. And I think I was even messaging EGB. I was like, oh, this has been easy if I only had channel points with Patamon here.
Yeah, so I was like, yeah, I have 10,000 left, but I forgot to bet it on Patamon. And Caleb was like, yeah, that's easy money. And I was like, and then it was like 2-2, and I was like, you're apparently not. So
yeah. It was like halfway through after I put it all in on Tomahawk, I was like, messaging EJB. I was like, wait. I was like, this guy doesn't have a Metachimp check. Like, he's just got Mantine. I was like, what am I doing?
Yeah, Wireless's team. I remember looking at the matchup and I was like, this is tough for me. And it's actually similar to Warsaw. So both Warsaw and Barcelona, I only lost to one player twice.
Yeah.
Right. And it's difficult because obviously,
they also both are 29 years old, if I remember correctly.
Say again, sorry?
Yeah.
They also both are 29 years old.
Yeah. Yeah, that is true. I never got to play Patamon, for example, but like looking at his line, I was like, oh, I have more play against this. So not that you're trying to look too far ahead, but obviously you consider who else is still in the bracket. And I was like, okay, Patamon's team, obviously he's a great player, but like I can see what things I would try to do against Wireless's team just because of that Powder Snow A/Slash. All of the things that I wanted to, that I would normally have tried, I was like, Diggersby's no longer an A/Slash counter. This is now very tricky for me. And yeah, obviously he played brilliantly and he read me well. So I can only apologize, guys. I can only apologize.
Dynamic Punch Matchup looked so good to Patamon's team. Like it beats like 3, hard beats 3, beats Swampert. Like you have play into the Gligar. Like the Ice Defense, sure, but like he had the Sableye, right? Yeah, his team was wild. I think I don't know if Shadow Dragonite would have helped Patamon that much because that was the difference between his team and Bordage's, right?
Well, yeah, I think it actually would have, just because what Swilus did was like playing that Medi Sableye, right, and Pelipper.
Yeah.
So it's like
I think pretty much everything lost to Shadow Dragonite.
Yeah, so you just break up those cheap cores that are no-brainers, right? They were no-brainers against Patamon's team.
Yeah, I don't know how Patamon beat him the first time around. Looking at that,
CC threw the last game, to be honest.
Oh, okay.
So like, Swilus just swapped out of a matchup. I think he swapped out of the Sableye into his back mon and gave Patamon too much farm on the final round to lose the game. Yeah. So Swilus could have just easily won this game by just saying it was Sableye.
Yeah. That was wild though. I mean, Z's Wise team, Shadow A/Slash, Shadow Venusaur, Lickitung, Sableye, Medicham,
right? It was
Dynamic Punch
literally just
Medicham, and then Pelipper. Like what?
Yeah, this is basically the BBML just with Pelipper over Gligar, in my opinion.
Okay. Well, what about no Registeel either, right?
Yeah, but it's Shadow Senseless, right? So you just have one steel type of each.
Yeah.
So,
Gotcha.
but this is BBML at the moment.
Yeah.
Just with Glyvo.
Who's Wireless's team or
yeah.
Wireless's team is
Wireless.
BBML.
Yes.
Yes.
We gotta put a big asterisk next to the BBML.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know. I was like, this is a pretty spicy team in my opinion.
I don't. It's just the Pelipper that makes it spicy, to be honest. Like Pelipper,
I think Sableye is pretty spicy these days. I didn't see a lot of Sableye.
Is it though?
Yeah, that's what I was
Expecting
thinking
Medicham
about.
on 75% of the teams, like Sableye will always have at least these targets, right?
But
you remember when everyone was using Medicham Sableye, right? That was common. But what kept that in check was the presence of Fairy. And we don't really have that so much anymore.
There's nothing.
No one brought like a Zumro in Barcelona.
Yeah, as opposed to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, but
just because had the consistent
but just because lantern usage. Like lantern usage is so high that it's just so hard to bring the Azumarill or any.
Yeah. Well, everyone's now bringing grasses as well.
Yeah.
Grass, lantern.
Yeah.
You know, just your steel and things. And
yeah. So the grasses aren't that big of a problem for Azumarill, to be fair. So I was always committed to just bait out the grass type with my Azumarill if I have to free up a lantern, for example. Just because you can usually have a pretty fine matchup in the 0 or 1 shield. So, but again, it's like a lantern that just shuts you so hard down that you just don't want to be stuck in that matchup ever. Now with the spark damage buff even more, just because you get sparked down in the end.
Well, especially in a meta without like Altari and Noctowl, the grass types have more play even if you have to even if you shield the Zoomer, right? You fall down. Like that Frenzy and Sludge Bomb go somewhere, right? And it hurts quite a bit. So
well, I mean, so since we're 2 events in and both events have maintained like the same 5 top usage, right? So Medicham, Lantern, Lickitung, Gligar, and Registeel. And those 5 are like used way more than anything below it. What do you 3 reckon going forward into future regionals? You know, do you think that top 5 will change a bit? Do you think anything will like come up to join them? Because again, we're like pretty early, and I feel like this meta it has a lot of space for development.
So I can see Registeel falling off a bit and Powdersnow Sandslash replacing it. But other than that, I don't think there will be much of a change in the top 5, top 8 Pokemon used even.
I'm on that same note. I'm interested to see Gligar usage and the extent to which that shifts or doesn't when we see Powdersnow A/Rise. I'm interested to see if people toy with mons like Toxicroak again, because it obviously has a much stronger matchup against the grass, against Lantern, good against Lickitung, good against the Steel as well. I'm also interested to see if we're going to see any new Pokemon soon. I mentioned briefly on stream that, you know, Halloween's always a time to, you know, restart the hype for Mimikyu, if that does come in. As EJB said at the beginning of the stream, if anything comes in that makes Medicham question its position in the meta, then obviously that can have huge ramifications. And obviously this won't affect the next couple of tournaments, but let's say you had an Alolan Marowak buff, right? These kinds of things can really make a difference. But in the meantime, maybe BBML a la Zweilous is the play. Sableye, these kinds of things.
I mean, it's also pretty hard to check Medicham, right? Because Medicham's best friend is Lickitung. Yeah. So if you have a ghost type, it's always hard to check Medicham with a ghost type because you're just in there trying to help yourself out.
What about Talonflame? I'm looking at Talonflame into the top like 3 teams. It doesn't look terrible, actually.
It doesn't look terrible, but it's so slow, right? Yeah. It's so slow.
Yeah, it's okay. Players know how to play with the optimization.
Yeah, what about Fire Spin Charizard?
I thought about Shadow Ember.
Or Ember, yeah.
Shadow Ember.
Or Ember, yeah.
So yes and no. If you have ever played it, it's a no.
Yeah.
So Pocket made me build a Shadow Ember Charizard for a draft tournament, and it's so bad. Man. It's so bad.
Like, he didn't want to run it himself.
No, it was a draft that I had to play it because I had it on my team, and he made me build a Dragon Breath one like the one before. So I had to build my third Shadow Chosen.
Oh my gosh, you're making you spend
And it was Amber,
PMs.
and the pace is just so bad, right? Give Amber maybe one more energy, and it would be good, but with the current pace, it's bad.
Yeah. It's we'll see. I mean, yeah, Talonflame used to be a staple in season 1. Like that was like if you saw a flyer, it'd be Talonflame.
Wasn't there like only one player to make it work, and there was Dex?
It was really just Dex. Yeah.
What's his name? There's one NA player too. He did what NAIC? He always ran Scrafty and Talonflame together.
Well, that was a pretty good
Muddy
core.
Water.
Yeah, they keep up.
Zygomatic.
Zygomatic,
yeah. Yeah, I guess there weren't a ton of Talonflames, I guess, at World Season 1 either. But but if you were running a flyer, that was like going to be the one.
It was also Trevenant WoW in meta that like preferred to have Talonflame in there, just because there was like no other water type then because of those two.
Yeah, Talonflame was solid back then, but yeah, it's easy to play around. I'm excited to see what happens in Brazil and Curitiba, which is going to be our next regional this upcoming weekend. I don't know if it's going to be streamed or not though, which is a little unfortunate. I don't even know how many players are signed up for it, because
so they always stream this on Facebook, which is so weird.
No, the Brazilian ones aren't on Facebook.
Okay, Brazilian one,
but they did make a mistake the last Brazilian event. They like streamed it and didn't save the VODs or something. So like the only VODs that are available are on some like other streamers watch party, which is a bit annoying.
Is that why you started downloading everything, Anicor?
Yeah. No. Bro, do you know what it was? Yeah, it was 2022 Lil.
Yeah.
That was like one of the early Neuralcast streamers, or it might have been the first one. And he streamed it and didn't save the VOD. So as soon as the stream was over, that was it. Yeah, bruv, I was downloading like those watch party, King's watch party, and then there was like on the other games, so like VGC for example, during the breaks they would show little mini clips of what's happening on the other streams. I downloaded that as well, just so I could get like the little bit of like the parts that were missed, so I've got all that somewhere, hopefully.
What you're like a historian.
Yeah. All we had from Little Stream back then was Marcos saying he wants to get shit faced at the bar.
I was hoping something like that would happen at Barcelona, but unfortunately that's a risk you take interviewing every player after they win. But
I understand that one of the reasons why they haven't been doing interviews in Pittsburgh, for example, is because there is a bit of an uncertainty as to what people might say on stream. So maybe they just had a little bit more trust in some of the Europeans. But I think they scrapped the interviews in NA, right?
I don't know if I would trust Valdash and Pocket or Onion Frank on stream. So.
Well, you gotta remember Onion too. I think Onion, it was before the Toronto Regional. He saw me and Butters in the hotel lobby. He's like, what can I not say in the winners interview and stuff, right? If I was like, dude, slow your roll, man. We're not even on day one. Yeah, like you didn't even make top cut yet, right? You're getting a little too excited. And then that was a tournament he lost to a Moltres in. So like, I was like,
but there's a simple rule for that. So if you have to ask, it's probably not allowed.
Exactly. So to answer your question, yes, I think. Generally speaking, I think the Pokemon Company wants to err on the side of caution. It was like what do you call it? There was some VGC, I think it was like Worlds or like an international a few years ago. Gabby Snyder was the one that told me about this. Some guy got like really unlucky on like they're like buffs and debuffs like odds are like it's like so much RNG, right? And I think like the opponent had like a 10% chance of hitting it or something. And they hit it like back-to-back moves. And he got so pissed, he just flipped off. Like he's on stream, he flipped off the stream camera.
Wasn't that the guy who got hit by like 3 consecutive fishes?
Maybe. I think that might have been what it was. It was something wild like that. And then I think they like blacklisted him from like future interviews and stuff.
Yeah,
they're just like we can't let this guy out.
I fully understand him. Like if I was, I don't know who it was, but there's a guy who lost against Maxi because of the psychic debuff into Last Resort. Jesus,
the Dragonite player. Oh, was it Kristen?
Was it? Yeah, it was. Yeah. So I would have mauled my ass off on stream. So
Dude,
losing to a 10% chance.
I was feeling on San Diego. I missed 2 Zap Cannon debuffs against Ramberto's Umbreon. And he shielded both Zap Cannons too. He didn't shield the Focus Blast. I was like, how am I losing Registeel into Umbreon right now? And I was so mad.
I feel it, yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, I think one thing we were discussing last week about how the EU stream would go, considering it's now on the official channel, and you were saying that there'd be a bit more like, you know.
Yes. So,
but I don't think there was.
Yeah. So yeah, you're right. So here's the difference. They are on the official channels and stuff, but they're still run. I think it's still run by Neuralker and like the other people in production. I saw him, like, pictures of him and stuff, and like, dude, I don't know what the heck NA's doing, but the setup and backdrops at Barcelona were amazing. Like the lounge looked good. Sick. I'm like, where's ours? Like dude. Sick. I mean,
you know what the worst part is that like we already had the better streams, yeah, and then they gave us more money. And now there's just like the best streams.
Like, this is I want to say this. This is my own opinion, right? It's not the opinion of the Pokemon Company or whatever. But the backdrops we got this year, we actually got new backdrops for Pittsburgh. If you didn't notice, and they're like, well, just watch back the VODs. It looks awful. It's green with like little yellow dots. It literally looks like pea splatters on the screen. Like there used to be the Pokemon like Pokemon Regionals logo. They got rid of the logo. They bought a new green background with like pea splatter and stuff, and it just looks so bad on camera. I think it looks okay in person, but like in camera, it looked nothing like whatever, you know, Barcelona had in.
We got a Coliseum.
Like a straight up Coliseum. It was a Coliseum, and it was like and then in the caster desk, it looked like you were like in like a fancy library, right? Like a medieval library or something. And then the lounge looked great too. I was just like, it's not a money problem. The Pokemon Company has money. Like, it's not. It's. I don't understand. I don't understand. But yeah. So anyway, to answer your question, Anicor, so it's still run by the same like production group, but they are getting additional funding and they're getting the official like brand of the company behind it. So I think like they probably gave the casters some more branding guidelines. Like, they're not allowed to talk explicitly about IVs. So if they do, they like probably slipped up. And they gotta like pronounce things properly and stuff like that. So there's probably, and then the other difference is also because it's on, yeah. Last Damnation.
Bro, he shot himself in the foot with that name. Yeah, Noiten sounds ridiculous.
Well, did it inadequate slip up at one point? Because I think I didn't hear him slip up. I saw in the chat be like, wait, who's Last Damnation inadequate? I forgot. Well, the first time I saw Last Damnation, he had a mask on at Last Chance Qualifier. So I didn't actually like when you have the mask on. It's like it's really hard to tell, like, because people would take off their masks and be like, "Hey, like, you commentate my match." I was like, "I did." I was like, "I don't remember," but so I didn't really remember what he looked like until I saw it. I was like, "Oh wait, that's Last Damnation." But yeah, that was pretty funny. But yeah, so the guidelines are a little bit stricter, at least on Twitch too, because they have the Twitch mods. Like the Walker streams are like people going wild, right? No hate on Delion, but like when he messed up the like shield KO, they were roasted. I was just like, damn, there's no mods here. They don't care, right? They're just going to let this guy get barbecued here. But yeah, they were just going in on this guy. I think the funniest thing about that is afterward, the mods wrote in the chat after they roasted him, like 5 minutes later when the stream was ending, he's like, "Oh, thank you all for being so polite and respectful." I was like, "What?" I was like, "You clearly didn't see what happened like 30 minutes ago." But yeah, so that is the difference. But outside of that, it seems like they could just do the standard setup, right? They still have the interviews after every battle, which is cool, and then I don't know, everything else looks pretty similar, which is nice. So it's cool to have that all the EU tournaments under the official brand too. Yeah, gets more exposure. There was a lot of people watching the stream.
I was just about to say there were like four times the numbers we had on Newer Plus stream as well.
Yeah, so. Yeah, it was a lot.
Yeah, we had like at some point we had like 4K viewers.
Yeah,
it was pretty good for a regional champion or for like a special event even.
Well, especially the time zone too, because I feel like most people that tune into stream. Yeah, I feel like most people that tune into streams are US, maybe Latin America, and then EU. And
but
for the US
afternoon
streams, like EU people are still like awake,
Yeah.
right? But
afternoon EU is also quite fine for fine people, right? So it's like your morning. So you wake up, tune in the stream while brushing your teeth, having breakfast.
Exactly. But for NA, like I don't know. I guess a lot of NA people watched it because there was a lot of numbers. Maybe
Yeah.
more people just watching in general. But yeah, my sleep schedule's been all over the place. It's been a thing. Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully they stream Cortiba too. I don't know. Do we know if it's a 256 cap or 128? I feel like in LATAM they'll hit 256 if they can.
They haven't actually maxed out yet. So I'm thinking it's 256 just based on the fact that a lot of LATAM events would, at least hit the 128 mark pretty early, right?
Yeah.
However, it is in like a slightly less accessible part of Brazil than some of the other events have been. So that might. But I haven't actually asked anyone to find out what the number is at the moment.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I remember last year's first Brazilian tournament. It was LNDS Central. It was like 7 LNDS people in the top 8, which was pretty wild.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. But yeah, it's been pretty good. I like the meta a lot too. I'm excited to compete and try it out. I think we're gonna bench Bastion this time because it has like even less places to go. Are you both going to Lille?
I haven't decided yet. We have a big party at our company the day before. So like
the day before. Okay.
Like Thursday. So I would have to be like really hungover on the plane to Lille. So I haven't decided yet if I want to do that, but if I want to do it, I'll probably do it.
Okay. Well, either way,
I think I'll be going, and I think I was speaking to a few of the Hidden Powers and Team Pizza guys, and I think quite a few of them will be going as well. And then I was speaking to Maxi and Martine and Stadium Emperors or whatever they're called. They're going as well.
Yeah, for sure. It's 256 for that one, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice. That'll be.
I'm expecting at least 150 in terms of actual attendance.
We're at 130 now, so I think it will be 160, 170 registered, and maybe 140 to show up.
Yeah, that's pretty good though.
That's a solid number for the beginning of the season.
Yeah, so I think it was 119 last season.
You'll get a top 16 at least, probably.
Exactly.
Off of that,
exactly.
Which you have an official top cut, which looks good for some of the stat lines too. So, yeah, we'll see how it goes. Hopefully the meta doesn't get worse after 3 months, right? Because there's always a small chance, right? They update it and it's like, it's not the same one, so you gotta fit in the tournaments while you can. I think Anicor. Oh no, you'll be able to play like one tournament, right?
Yeah, I'll get to play one this season and then one next season.
Yeah,
Anicor's just waiting until he can catch himself an Arctibax, and then he'll enter the tournament.
Yeah, with how much he's catching, he might have to wait till 2025 to compete. I don't know what this man's doing. I'm still shocked. You have me sweating, right? Because I'm not even hitting 50 kilometers a week, and you're like over 100 something. I was like, even with the Stardust bonus at the regional, there's no way, right?
I thought I was cooking,
You don't know how stressed. You don't know how stressed I was at Pittsburgh because I like all the other casters are just like chilling. Right? I'm like hand catching everything, right? Because there's like wild carping spawns. Like you can't just go plus that. And I kid you not, I was trying to GPL every single night on my crappy hotel Wi-Fi just to keep up with the Stardust. I didn't claim my rewards one of the nights just so I could claim on the star piece the next morning at the venue, right? To get extra, get a little extra boost. And we started our call time. We had to be up at 6:50 in the morning to go to, because for some reason the stream started at 8:30 in the morning, and so we had to be there early. And I was like, any other regional, I'd be complaining, but I'm glad I had to wake up at 6:50 because then I have more time to play at the venue to try to catch up in Stardust. And that's why I asked for extension. I was like, I don't think I could surpass him. But
do you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna attribute it to the venue boost. Yeah, because if we look at the increase, from post Pittsburgh to the end of the event, it wasn't that much.
Yeah, because I didn't play. I went out to play one day. I don't even think I played Spotlight Hour. Or I paid a little bit spotlight hour. But like I went to Santa Monica one day and I like couldn't even hatch my eggs. Nothing was lured.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Look, we're chilling. I can't wait to see you run Trevenant. You know, you're lucky I said you don't have to run Trevenant Master League because I was scared I had to. Yeah. But let's do all right. So there's Grubbin Community Day this upcoming weekend, which is not very useful for people, but just catch it if you can, I guess, just in case. I never know. I mean, does it beat Metacham? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Probably not, no.
That's probably not that useful.
I think a charge move set is also not that great either, right? It's what, discharge, crunch, bug bite, bug buzz.
Yeah, so it's all neutral too.
Yeah, you got X Scissor. We talking charge.
X Scissor does hit kind of hard these days.
True, but
Galissa
even if you beat Metacham.
I don't know. So now that we say this, I won't be shocked if someone brings Vikavolt actually to a tournament. Now that I think about it,
Vikavolt is asking too much. That's
I mean, that's
you think
like
actually, Charjabug beats Metacham.
Yeah, it still doesn't
in the ones.
Doesn't
just
cut
in
it
the
for me.
ones.
Just doesn't cut it for me.
Wait, you're good into grass too. There's a lot of grass types.
Yeah,
there's a lot of grass types. You got neutral damage for Alolan Sand Slash. What are you weak to? Swampert?
So you resist every charge move from Registeel, right?
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Wait, do you beat the Registeel is the question.
I don't know.
Wait, hold on.
Actually, you definitely do. You're so bulky, you can tank 2 moves, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, so you win, what is this? You win the 2s. You don't win the 1s, but you win the 0s.
So bad. That's so bad.
Yeah, but what really beats Registeel? Like in all shielding scenarios, right? Like not even Metacham does it without that punch. Yeah, just short list.
Charjabug, maybe that's the.
Maybe I guess like why not just run Galvantula at that point? I don't know. Galvantula could be.
Galvantula doesn't beat anything it's supposed to be, right?
Galvantula needs like extra shield. Yeah.
That's the problem of 4 turns fast moves.
Yeah. Okay, well we'll see. We'll see how it goes, but definitely catch some just in case. Before we get into the T segment, let's do a quick. We don't have to go for elo check, but I'm just curious, Anicor, because you got your elo now, right? What you at?
I got my
You're not winning any bets. Like, what you at?
I got my elo. It was not as good as I was hoping it would be. I can't lie.
Whoa.
2350.
Yeah, you're roasting my 2460.
I'm
just saying, I won't say my elo, but I've already hit expert, so. Are you sure?
Okay, I'm behind. But
I hit expert. Yeah.
No, that's okay.
I'm
behind. Yeah, but like I said,
I've been grinding.
I'm running. Yeah.
You said the same thing for the starters, man. I'm like,
I know.
Now.
I got.
Yeah, someone's like, "Oh, did you bring out Anicor for a bigger challenge than Speedy will give you?" But apparently not.
Look, my reality has already been distorted by this whole Stardust thing, and I need to.
Yeah, mine too. I'm back. Yeah, I brought you back to reality. So what's what happened?
Oh, bruv. Yeah. Don't watch.
Well, we'll see how it goes.
Prepare your I don't know. What would you call it? Pepto-Bismol.
Yeah, I get. I don't. Do they have that in the UK?
I don't think they do. I'm not.
You're gonna have to eat bananas or something. Yeah. You don't want to be the second victim of the hot chip in the world. That'd be bad. I can't. I can only go through co-hosts so often.
What do you mean second? I've never seen the first one eating it.
No. So not that victim.
He was nowhere near a victim.
Yeah. No, Speedy never even. That thing's just probably like rotting in his cabinet. No. Some kid actually died eating the hot chip.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah, but apparently he ate like 14 in a row. Like it was like it's like
so
you're not supposed
13
to
is the limit. 13 is the
limit. He was also under 18 too. Yeah. Well, it won't be me trying it on this show. If anything, it's you.
EJ seemed curious. So.
I'm down to bet.
Yeah, see, EJ would give me more of a hard time. I think I would have to go off of some I think I might be able to win a Stardust bet with EJ because you got kids and a family and stuff, right? And you live in the middle of nowhere, so.
So you want to know how much Stardust I made through the entire 4 times test?
I'm curious how much. Probably more than Anicor.
300,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Anicor did it a little bit better than that.
Man, that's 1.5 mil. Bruv, I'm at the highest Stardust I have ever been. I have never seen this many numbers on my screen. It's actually wild.
I'm happy for you. I'm happy for me too.
And I had to build a flipping Lopunny the other day.
Wait, why?
It dipped me below 7 mil.
Wait, why did they build Lopunny? For what? For what meta?
We're doing that Battle Frontier thing, right?
Lopunny's meta in that?
Bro, I don't know. Like, I'm not gonna lie. It was actually cooking. Like, it was.
You get
It
3
was not bad. But
Was it at least Mega Lopunny for Master League?
it was not even Mega Lopunny.
What?
No. I had to build it because my brother's opponent was using it, so I had to build it for.
Oh, you trying to be a homie?
Yeah.
I just tell my teammates I don't got the resources. I was like,
Yeah.
find someone else.
We do have to remember that Lopunny now gets triple axle, right? So
Oh, were you running triple axle on it?
I think you do.
Yeah.
You definitely do, right?
you have
Wait,
to.
it has counter, right? Or is it
Otherwise
double
it's
kick?
garbage.
It's double kick.
Double kick. Yeah.
Double
well, I
kick,
mean, what's
focus
triple axle
blast.
boosting? Like double kick does no damage.
Bro.
Okay.
Well, double
That's
kick
doing a
does
bit more
decent
than-
damage.
Yeah, maybe
Double kick's the
decent,
same damage as
yeah.
counter, right? Just slower.
Yeah.
That's slower.
Yeah,
Yeah,
basically.
That's true. Wait, did your brother win?
Yeah. But the guy didn't even bring the Lopunny. So
It's okay. Well, it didn't
It's
end up
a
mattering in the
waste.
Stardust totals anyway. I've been holding off on making anything because I'm like,
Bro,
scared.
same.
You got me scared.
I accidentally powered up a Zapdos, and I was so gutted that I spent 100,000. I was like, oh crap,
You spent 100,000.
that's gonna make me lose.
How do you accidentally spend 100,000
Yeah,
on
well,
this Zapdos?
yeah.
Well, I had to build the Zapdos. Oh no, because I thought the that was like after the first period ended, and I was like, okay, I'm fine to build a Zapdos.
Oh,
And then
'cause
I built it,
yeah,
and then we
and then I
committed to the
asked you.
second period.
What did the Zapdos do for you in any meta?
Oh,
What
bro, it
Zap-
didn't
what-
do anything for me.
Yeah, that was.
Like, yeah, it really.
You could have just
didn't,
saved it in general. I would have just told you that even if we weren't in the Stardust bet.
I don't know, man. I thought it was. I was like, oh, it's like a bit of a better Emolga, you know, like
No, Emolga's already kind of bad.
no.
Wait, did someone brought Emolga in the tournament? Right, it was like the first match on stream.
Yeah,
Who
unlike
was it?
JoJo
Was it?
Go-Go Dancer.
Oh, it's JoJo. Yeah, right. He always breaks weird stuff. He had he had the Trevenant and a Carping too, right?
Yeah,
Talk about playing with only 3 Pokemon, like.
Jesus.
It's mad as well because like
That
last
sounds
season,
so
he was
bad
like,
versus
yeah, I bought the
Sandslash.
Trevenant and never used the Trevenant. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
That's
Sandslash
so-
beats
but
all of
Sandslash,
it. Yeah, that's wild. That's
Jesus.
But you can't doubt him. You can't doubt him after his run in Torino.
that's true.
Some
Yeah.
people you kind of have to just take their word for
Oh,
it. You know
dude,
what I mean?
let me just say though, all right? I feel like we could settle this.
Uh,
Zswaz finally doesn't bring an Ampharos to a tournament and he wins the whole thing. Like, I feel like this only proves how bad Ampharos is, right? It was a straight up
Yeah.
handicap, right? He finally brings like a legitimate team, a BBL,
I think
BBML team, as EJ would say it, right?
Exactly.
And he wins it.
I think
mean,
it just proves the point that electric types that aren't Lantern are just bad.
Yep.
yeah.
Same thing with Nighttime Clasher. He doesn't bring Togi tomorrow. He's in the winners. He's in the
Well,
winners,
he
side,
actually
right?
he actually top card with Togedemaru twice.
He did. But I don't think the Togi tomorrow was what. Despite what he says, I don't think the Togi tomorrow was
Nah,
what
it's
carried
not.
it. Like, he could have
It's
ran a
not.
Registeel. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
He's actually pretty good. He's like, I mean,
It's decent.
yeah. Like, he beat Wadaj in one game, and then he just didn't use shields for the next 2 games straight.
Yeah,
for whatever
and
reason.
he also
That was
save
like
swapped the
Wadage's only
Sandslash.
loss up until that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, he save swapped the Sandslash versus the Deoxys. I think Deoxys team, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
That was
Yeah,
unwise.
that happened
yeah,
too.
don't do that.
No, it's not. Yeah, Shadow Claw or Powder Snow. That's not a great idea.
Doesn't matter. Yeah, don't do that.
All right, before we wrap up too, we were going to talk about this last week, but I decided not to because I didn't want to bring more exposure to it. But I feel like by now everyone knows there was a PvP exploit, mostly in GPL, but you could. So Anicor has some tea, but apparently,
I do.
yeah. What did you tell me about the NA Diamond player?
Oh.
I mean,
we
you
discussing
don't-
that.
Well, yeah. I mean, we don't know the name, right? So it doesn't matter. It's
Hey,
just
bro,
a rumor.
yeah,
but
true. All right. So
well, say what the GPL, the PvP exploit is first, so for people that don't know.
okay, so yeah, for everyone who I don't know been living in a hole for the last week, or who's been blocked by PokeAK, either one. So apparently there was an exploit where I believe it's you run like a rooted Android device or like a separate device which is reading the battle logs of the game and then in real time giving you your opponent's line of 3, their moves, and I believe even to the extent of like when they throw their moves, you know what charge move it is before.
So you can know what to shield
or something like that. Yeah,
that's huge.
And what was interesting is like, so last week, literally as we were about to record, I think the video had been made like literally as we were about to record, but we decided to ignore it. But I'd heard about it earlier. And I believe TomaHawk, you also heard about it at a similar time to me. And
wait, how early are we talking?
Last month.
Oh, okay. Not. So it wasn't like a year ago.
Yeah. So not super early.
Yeah.
But it was like around last month, and I think it was also around a similar time where there was someone who was exploiting roots to get like unlimited XL candy or something like that.
Yeah.
I heard these are the rumors, yeah, and I don't actually know the name, but that person was playing an NA Diamond faction. Which is wild to me because a lot of the time, like whenever you see these exploits, it's usually someone who's strictly only playing GBL, or like, someone who's a casual, not really into PvP, but they for some.
But you could do it in friendly battles as demonstrated by the video.
Yeah. And also, I think it's kind of wild for me. The wild part is the fact that you choose to play Sylph, but also choose to cheat. And it's weird for me because it feels like, when you kind of like commit to playing Sylph, especially at a high level, you're kind of committing to the community. Do you know what I mean? Innit?
Yeah.
And while you may not be friends with everyone, there's a general sort of sense of like, understanding between everyone, right?
There's also no rewards on winning. So it's
exactly. Yeah. There's no, like tangible benefit. So I think cheating in that sort of setting at a high level is, kind of questionable. It feels almost like a betrayal to
the community.
But so that was wild. And then
imagine doing all that and still not making the emeralds. That should be like an easy 3-0 for your team every week, and you still can't get your team. Like that's so embarrassing.
I think that's the worrying thing is, Anicor, as you said, when we hear about these things, we know spoofers exist, right? And so when I hear what spoofers are doing, I kind of ignore it. I'm like, I don't really care. There are going to be people who play the game how they want to play.
Yeah.
I kind of separate myself from that. So although I'm aware that they exist, it doesn't affect me.
Yeah.
And this was another one that was a GBL exploit. And initially I was like, look, again, someone's trying to cheat the system. Ultimately, it probably won't affect me. Probably affects very, very few players. And so again, I turned a blind eye to it. And then obviously that word started to come out, and there are people who are going to pay for this kind of thing. And all of a sudden it then gets a little bit of traction, and then it gets some, streamer or YouTuber attention, and it becomes public. And a lot of people will lose their mind and say, this has been here the whole time. I don't think that is the case, but it is really disappointing, as Anicor said, if someone takes it into a genuinely competitive environment and kind of goes behind the spirit of the game in that setting in particular. And initially I was like, maybe this is just Niantic testing open team sheets. Does it work? But I'm hoping that it's something that can be sorted pretty quickly. I really don't think it is game breaking. People shouldn't be avoiding GBL because of it. Nothing like that.
We don't have to shut down GBL like some players mentioned. So cheating will always be part of online gaming to some extent. You will never get rid of it. It's just people exploiting a system until it gets fixed, and then there will be another exploit until it gets fixed, and that's like the circle of life in online gaming, basically.
And Niantic knew exactly how to deal with it. They were like, look, let's just distract everyone by reverting the move changes.
Exactly.
Oh yeah,
Jesus! Everyone.
That was right before the event as well.
That was the evening. I was there about to prepare and go to bed, and then someone messages me saying, "By the way, your aerial aces are no longer buffed."
Yeah, that's one way to stress you out too. Before.
Yes.
So did you find out before you went to sleep that it got reverted? Or
thankfully they fixed it pretty quickly, because I was preparing a new team. Well, I didn't know how they do it, because I was like, realistically, the event organizers have no awareness or control over this. So how can they allow people to register a team?
So you're preparing another team?
He was playing. He was hoping for the revert to the Whirlwind Trevenant meta. So he just built a Whirlwind Trevenant team and hoping they reverted that far back.
Yeah.
Or we revert back to the Trevenant Lantern Noctowl days. Just bring those in and you'll find you can just fill out the other three with random stuff.
I mean, one of my opponents, I think he was prepared because his team was Carbink, Shadow Victory Bell, Wigglytuff. It was there was a Medicham in there.
Yeah, that's the new Peng GBL team, by the way.
That's definitely a Power Punch Medicham.
And then he was beat. I think he beat Juanillo. He knocked him out.
This guy was
bro.
Yeah, he's
2 shield in the lead or alignment and you get through. So.
Jesus.
For real.
Wait, did he have just Carbink or did he run Bastion too? Because you can run just Bastion.
No, he didn't have Bastion. I can't remember the exact team, but I just remember looking at it. It was Shadow Swampert, Shadow Victory Bell, Wigglytuff, Carbink, Medicham, and something else toxic.
That's crazy.
And I just remember, and this was in like the equivalent of the winners' semi-finals, around there. Like he got pretty far. And I was texting my friends before the game saying, "Oh, apparently this guy's running like a toxic team," and they're like, "If you lose to him, we're never going to let you live that down. Proving to the world that it's a good team." And I was like, "I really cannot afford to lose." But that is when my Thickersby came into play because he was like, "It's okay, I'll take Charm," and managed to get through. So,
you end up facing that guy?
I played him.
I
played him. I lost game 1.
Oh, that's crazy.
I lost game 1, and I was worried. I was, I was embarrassed, and I was like, I really shouldn't lose to this line. But he didn't shield a Hyper Beam on his Medicham, and that's the end of that story. So there we go.
Typically,
save shields for the Charmer in the back.
That's wild. I think people shouldn't be too discouraged from playing. Like, it is what it is. Like, it's gonna dude, we're like the meta right now is Psychic Cup. You could pretty much figure out the backline without even needing the.
It's such a bad meta.
Yeah, I was like, all right,
such a bad meta.
I know Soul King's coming in like with a Malmar lead, like it's so obvious, but
it's so bad.
Yeah, it's okay, but we'll see how that goes, but. Either way, thank you too for joining us too. It was a lot of fun and really cool to hear your insights as well, especially from a region that we don't feature nearly as much in a lot of these broadcasts, but now officially on the Pokemon Go stream, so we'll probably see more of you all, especially at Lils too, so that should be a good one. But where can we find you all? Maybe just if for anyone that wants to keep up with what you all do, if you tweet or have any content creation, stuff like that.
Yeah, on Twitter, TomaHawkUK. So just bad opinions and pictures of myself.
Now you haven't made the mutey list yet, so I'd say the opinions are.
Oh yeah, Anicor's got a long mute list. Yeah,
a long mute list.
Yeah, I was like, oh, what about this person as a guest? He's like, nah. I'm like, why? It just shows me they're muted. I was like, okay. I was like, I feel you. I wasn't itching to bring him on as a guest, but I was just curious on why. Yeah. What about you, EJB?
So people can find me on Twitter, 23EJB. And if you want to talk to me, just hit me up on Discord.
Yeah.
As easy as it is.
And catch both of you maybe at EUIC, or all three of you at EUIC.
Of course.
Yeah.
100%,
Yeah. And of course, making the push for Worlds, but he might still be pushing.
I'll be back with a tan and my Australian CP limit. Well, you know what? So
wait, did you change it? Did you change?
Nah, not yet.
Okay.
But you know what's interesting is so last night Jakobovic actually messaged me, and he was like, he was like, the Spanish version of the Pokemon website has the CPs listed 100 points below the English version. And I wasn't able to like verify that, but a few other people have been saying the same thing, which is interesting because, well, I mean, that just brings all the CPs 100
Yeah, it's everyone's qualified worlds at that point. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean, isn't it? So
That's like
mate,
what,
Australian
50
200
for
yeah.
Australia?
Dude, you better
Bro.
buy your plane ticket now for Hawaii. Like they're gonna be sold out.
Bruv, I just need to turn up at EUIC and I'm there, you know. So
yeah.
Yeah.
I think
better
that's
qualify
that
then.
probably will. I'll double check that too and see because that might be a typo. But
Yeah. Well, we can have a look next week.
I think you theoretically can make the argument to be an Australian player because you will. I don't know.
A lot of the year.
I mean, you will, but having an IC under your belt is like a huge advantage. Like none of the Australians are flying all the way to EUIC. I mean, they might, but most probably aren't.
Talking
It is
about
definitely unfair.
Yeah, talking
I'll
about
be honest.
exploiting the system, right?
100%.
Yeah.
To
We
be
know
fair,
you're not used to the PvP
so-
exploit with that starting elo, but championship points though you might be.
Yeah, have you seen the Poke Against street? That Poke Against got called out for actually using the exploit, and someone commented it down below.
Wait, I thought that comment was like a troll thing. I thought like they tagged like. Yeah, they put like Poke Games. They tagged a bunch of random people.
Yeah. So
No.
Poke
But then
someone commented underneath Poke Against street. So I've seen you play. You definitely don't cheat.
It's so funny.
Man.
Hilarious.
That guy. Dude, that guy catches a lot of Pokemon. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm friends with him.
He's
And
a
like,
big
I mean, he's
grinder.
got the arms for it, right?
I don't know. What do you mean? He's just, yeah, maybe. Is that the difference?
I don't know.
Weak in the arms.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I just figured he'd be in the gym all day. He must have like a quad stop on the gym he works out at or something.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, it was a good one. But we'll see how it goes, especially with Curitiba this upcoming weekend. I'm expecting some spice. I feel like Latin American players are definitely. I feel like NA players are the most boring, and even we were like bring some interesting stuff, and EU's like pretty creative, and like LATAM they just they had like a chestnut.
I can see the comeback of Dragonair.
Okay.
Yeah. I think there's no reason not to.
Well, how's it do against Lickitung?
Well, it's fine, right? You pace at the same time your Dragon Breath add up. You also have super effective Aqua Tail for the Gligar, right? Which is a huge point. So I can see it come back in LATAM. Right?
I think we've seen a few people toy with no steel type on their team.
Yeah.
And having a dragon, whether it's Shadow Dragonite, Dragonair, if it's Arctibax, I know Tonton tried Guzzlord, but if you don't respect a dragon,
I saw that. I was like, "What's this Guzzlord doing?"
Guzzlord has the Medicham problem, right?
Yeah, and you lose to the steals, right? So it's a little.
One argument for Guzzlord would have been that it actually can beat Shadow Alolan Sandslash, but now that might be shifting to Powder Snow, not interested.
Right.
Yeah.
And in that case, Shadow Dragonair seems like the most neutral into that sort of situation as well.
Exactly.
Yeah. Also, like Shadow Dragonair into Registeel is like kind of weird into Registeel if you don't throw a focus. Like they either shield the focus blast and they're still doing full damage, or you land a zap land a Zapcan and it doesn't take it out. You have to throw another move.
Yeah. So you never want to be really stuck in there as either side.
Yeah, that could be interesting. I like that prediction. I'm still expecting no Carbink, but we'll see how that goes. Oh, man, it's so weird. It's a number 1 or like number 2 ranked Pokemon PvP poke. Do
you know what though?
Yeah, so Scrafty was there for a long time.
Yeah, sure, Scrafty. Yeah, Scrafty's always up there.
Last year LAIC, what was it? It was Toxapex that was like, the new Bastiodon, right?
Yeah,
and it actually ended up winning. So I think if we see Carbink do well anywhere, it might actually be
True.
Look, I'm
not saying I wanted to do well. I'm just saying
I'm like the rock, like
his best opportunity.
The crappy rock Pokemon master, and I don't think Carbink could run it like do well. So we'll see how that goes. But anyway, thanks all for joining us. We'll catch you all next week, and we'll have updates on all of the situations. But have a good one and take care.